The Earth Spirit woman of the White Tiger Seven Spirits honestly was very taciturn. Up until now, she had been one with the earth, her sense of existence imperceptible. But the moment she acted, she was heaven-shaking. The All Things bracelet was worthy of being called a top-notch spirit treasure. Its light was brilliant and clear, like a full moon. The rainbow light of sun-piercing heavenly rainbow was completely sucked away by the All Things bracelet's shadow. But the Star General's Earth rank technique was nothing to scoff at, especially when this was the Earth rank archery of the first-rate heavenly star Little Li Guang. When sun-piercing heavenly rainbow landed upon the All Things bracelet, there was a clear bang. The rainbow light was absorbed by the All Things bracelet. Similarly, the nigh invincible All Things bracelet was repelled by the arrow. In midair, it shook, its spirit light destroyed, losing its vitality. Xian Lao's hand gestured to retrieve the All Things bracelet. She was as aloof as before. Xian Lao, settle things as quickly as possible. Han Bing's chilly tone pierced through this snowstorm world. Not good. Hua Wanyue was astonished. Xian Lao grunted and beckoned. With a sudden bang, the sky and earth immediately toppled. The ground sunk down into a bottomless pit. Inside the pit, the crumbling sounds were like something boiling. Instantly, endless flames mixed with astral wind, turbulent mud, and yellow dust. It rushed forth like a raging wave, its power honestly dreadful. Shi Yu's expression became even more grave. Let us see how you will manage this. Han Bing said in a low voice, a cold tone. The air flowing across her cheek brought a feeling of comfort. The gentle wind brushing her ear made her feel free, and all worldly restraints and thoughts of the star duels already vanished. Shi Xiuxiu thought in her bleary consciousness. Is this the feeling after a starfall? Shi Xiuxiu struggled to open her eyes. She finally caught sight of a speck of starlight. It seemed that Maiden Mountain after Starfall and the White Tiger territory were the same. The air was very heavy, her body was being propped up and was flying. This kind of feeling was very unfettered. As the daredevil Thid brother who had pledged her entire life to be a fight to the death, she never knew that ceasing battle would turn out to be so comfortable. Shi Xiuxiu gently moved her body, wanting to change to an even more comfortable position. Suddenly, her butt collided with something wide. That object had 5 outspread fingers, and her butt was perfectly squeezed upon them. A sort of electric current made Shi Xiuxiu's half-hazy consciousness immediately sober up. She saw a wide and warm chest, and a pair of comforting arms. Shi Xiuxiu's eyes immediately turned like a wild beast's. You woke up really quickly. Su Xing lowered his head, staring into Shi Xiuxiu's cold eyes. Suwen says your injuries will need at least 7 days to fully recover from, that you would need 2 or 3 days to wake up. Seeing Shi Xiuxiu's hostile expression, Su Xing teased, it really isn't good for you to have such a foul expression towards your life savior. Life savior? Shi Xiuxiu felt the noun this man uttered was truly ambiguous. You saved your servant? Shi Xiuxiu blinked her eyes. Then she realized that she had not been contracted, finally showing an astonished expression. You believe me now? Su Xing smiled. Shi Xiuxiu's eyes were full of disdain. Her heart recognized that Su Xing possessed a star general and was thus unable to form any further contracts. Liangshan continent was full of star masters like this. Quickly put down your servant. Shi Xiuxiu struggled a few times, again triggering pain over her whole body. Daredevil Third Brother's brow wrinkled. Don't struggle. Su Xing's tone rebuked her with a stern tone. Suwen said your injuries are very severe. You need to rest. Shi Xiuxiu completely disregarded Su Xing. If it was not for her body being obstructed and truly unable to budge, she would have already brought out the 7 colors goose feather saber and hacked this man hugging her to pieces. Su Xing hugged her even more tightly, and only then did Shi Xiuxiu finally stop struggling. She had never been so ashamed in her life. The grand daredevil third brother was surprisingly hiding in a man's embrace, and there was even the illusion of safety. God damn it. What conspiracy are you plotting against your servant? Shi Xiuxiu took a deep breath to maintain her composure. Since Su Xing was a star master, then she could be said to be a fish on the chopping board, at his mercy. This man not taking his opportunity to kill her signified he had some other objective. I'm called Su Xing Xiuxiu. Su Xing introduced himself. Humph. Do you feel that since I'm a star master, you're currently fish meat on a chopping board at my mercy? Do you think I'll take advantage of you? Su Xing guessed through her thinking. Shi Xiuxiu had an expression that said, is that not so? Not every star master wants to take advantage of another person's misfortune. If you really hate me, then I will star duel you, but, not now. I listened to my wife to specifically come here to see you. Otherwise, why else do you think I would carry a tigress like you around? You definitely think I am disrespecting you, and you want nothing more than to kill me right now. Su Xing shook his head, an expression of disappointment. Your servant has never met your wife. Shi Xiuxiu coldly said. The only person she recognized was blue-faced beast Yang Zijin. Of course, she would not recognize Su Xing's wife. She was a star general, and how could she be someone else's wife? Furthermore, Yang Zijin's contractor was a stinking old man. Just as Su Xing was about to reply, he suddenly sensed something, and his heart sunk. In a flash, he hid behind a large tree, activating a concealment technique. Don't say a word. Su Xing sternly warned. He had just hid their whereabouts when a woman dressed in a white robe appeared in the sky above where Su Xing stopped. That woman's bangs were neatly arranged, matching her attire and tranquil bearing. She was none other than Yang Zijin. Yang Zijin wrinkled her brow, scanning the surroundings. She had clearly sensed there was a slightly weak presence just now. How did it just suddenly vanish? After Su Xing hid behind the tree, he retracted his presence to its lowest. He stared silently at Yang Zijin, and Shi Xiuxiu also shot a glance at blue-faced beast, considerably astonished at Su Xing's ability to sense her appearance. Blue-faced beast was considered one of the top-notch martial generals in the 9th generation. Su Xing had no interest in experiencing her martial arts. Now that Lin Yingmei and Wuxia were no longer at his side, it was obvious what a unilateral front against Yang Zijin would result in. Although Su Xing had the battle doctrine innate skill that could match against a star general, he had no way to contend against the most first-rate martial general in a head-on battle. The maturation of these peak star generals' martial arts had become something very difficult for Su Xing. To be capable of forcing the daredevil third brother star general who was at Extreme Realm 8 stage to flee in defeat, Su Xing was very clear about Yang Zijin's power. A while later, other than Yang Zijin, Su Xing did not see Han Bing, Xin Lao, or the others. This signified that they stayed behind to deal with Shiyu, as he had expected. However, Yang Zijin moved on, which offered him a bit of relief. With little Huang and Hua Wanyu present, she should have no problems. While Su Xing pondered, Shi Xiuxiu's breathing was quickening. The two were hidden behind a narrow tree. So as to avoid being discovered by Yang Zijin, the space was small and their bodies were stuck close together. Shi Xiuxiu could feel her breasts that were bound by the white gauze being mercilessly squeezed by the man's arms. Even the Shi Xiuxiu who was fierce in martial arts finally showed a star maiden's bashfulness. If it was not for seeing Su Xing's eyes glued completely onto Yang Zijin, Shi Xiuxiu would have had the impulse to immediately kill him. Shi Xiuxiu considered shouting out to alarm Yang Zijin. She had a favorable impression of blue-faced beast Yang Zijin and also knew that while this sister appeared cold and expressionless, she was rather kind on the inside. She had been saved by her several times in the White Tiger territory. However, turning back to see Su Xing's serious expression, Shi Xiuxiu dismissed the thought. Yang Zijin looked around. Seeing there were no presences and thinking herself mistaken, she continued on. This time, Su Xing did not fly. Instead, he stuck to the ground and used an escape technique, evading as much as possible. Halfway through, Su Xing suddenly stopped. Far away, on an enormous cliff, a white-robed woman just happened to be bathing quietly in the moonlight, her hand gripping the hilt of her saber. Her presence was tranquil, waiting for him. Fuck. Su Xing gloomily looked at Yang Zijin. This beast's sense of smell really was not so easy to fool. My dear, would you be so kind as to let us pass? Xiuxiu was speechless. She felt that this man was honestly frivolous. Was he actually unaware of how frightening the woman before them was? To surprisingly be able to utter the words, my dear. She did not realize, however, that Su Xing did so merely to calm the situation down. Yang Zijin's placid aura was honestly full of unfathomable danger. To be able to infuriate her contrarily had an advantage. Fury could make a person lose their judgment. If he could anger Yang Zijin, he instead could have a chance at winning. Let Su Xing pass. Yang Zijin slightly nodded. It was not clear if she approved of Su Xing's teasing or if she responded merely out of courtesy. Regardless, the more calm she was, the less of a plan Su Xing had. Damn it, I only came to the White Tiger territory to investigate the clinging Heaven Jian feather, yet I've surprisingly bumped into one of the most powerful martial generals in the star duels. This is not fun at all. Purple Thunder Monster. Zijin wishes to ask you a question, Yang Zijin's voice very gently spoke. Facing blue-faced beast, Su Xing had originally thought she would firmly take action without wasting her breath. Her sudden question made Su Xing feel hopeful. What question? What is your final wish for the star duels? Yang Zijin asked. Would you believe me if I said I wanted to end the star duels? Su Xing shrugged. Are you serious? Yang Zijin's reaction was very calm, which dealt Su Xing a very serious blow. He was completely at a loss as to what this woman was thinking of. I am not the same as your star master. Whatever wish he has, I have no interest. I only want to help my wives end this senseless struggle. Su Xing twitched his mouth. Yang Zijin seemed to smile. Taisui is the same as you. Both of you wish to end the star duels. Is that true, or an excuse to trick you into a contract? Su Xing asked back. Yang Zijin was silent. Clearly, before ascending the summit, no one had any way to guarantee this reply. And what if you use this excuse? Perhaps it is because of this precise excuse that Lin Chong, Wu Song and the others would follow you. Yang Zijin toyed with the bangs in front of her forehead, playing down their dialogue. Bitch, you're an excuse, to surprisingly dare insult Su Xing. Shi Yuan was extremely angry. Su Xing dismissed that with laughter. If you become my wife, I'll convince you. Silence. Zijin believes you, you're willing to become my wife. Su Xing was stunned. Yang Zijin elegantly ignored Su Xing's words. Taisui wants you to join us. In the later 7 Stars Assembly, we shall scale Maiden Mountain together and end the star duels. Are you willing? Yang Zijin extended her flawless, white as jade hand, beckoning with a warmth and benevolence not yet seen from blue-faced beast. Su Xing could clearly see. If he refused this hand, then the other would immediately draw her saber. Liked it? Are you willing? Gazing at Yang Zijin's delicate white hand, Su Xing thought to himself, the hell anyone would be willing. To scale Maiden Mountain together and end the star duels was indeed a very strong lure in his perspective. This was also the final conclusion Su Xing wanted. There seemed to be nothing to refuse, but from the start he had no faith in the sincerity of the White Tigers. Who was he kidding? Even without his wives' firm distrust of them, cooperation with them was not possible at all. However, The fierce general dark star blue-faced beast Yang Zijin was somewhat problematic. Su Xing could discern that this woman's temperament was very carefree. A graceful woman that could be so whimsical would never be sloppy in her execution. As the most powerful enemy of the White Tiger territory, if he refused her, Su Xing had no doubts at all that Yang Zijin would kill him instantly on the spot. Conversely, this fact also showed that at least Yang Zijin was indeed willing to work with him, otherwise, there would be no need to waste her breath on him. Thinking quickly through the current situation, Su Xing found that he had encountered the greatest crisis of his life. He was currently face to face with the most first-rate martial general in the 9th star duels, and his side lacked Lin Yingmei, Wuxia, and the others. Even the one and only daredevil third brother was completely unable to stand, let alone battle. A direct confrontation naturally was dismissed without thinking. Yang Zijin would not hold back the way his wives did. His remaining choice was only to use the jade pendant to escape. Before the 3 heavenly books, the outlaw Yangshan jade pendant could be a limited number of times, but there was currently a problem. Su Xing glanced at the Shishouxiu in his arms. There was no way he could give up on this woman. Considering this, Su Xing finally arrived at his conclusion. He had fucked up playing the hero saving the beauty this time. Have you considered this carefully? Yang Zijin was neither rushed nor slow. Since we both want to end the star duels, then I am very delighted to cooperate. Su Xing decided to first use stalling tactics to temporarily make Yang Zijin lower her guard. No matter what, in Liangshan's 9th star duels, forget star masters, even the strongest ancestral master or demon would not possibly trade blows with a top-notch martial general. Yang Zijin was no fool. She suddenly noticed that even if he actually wanted to cooperate, there was no guarantee at all. That the White Tiger 7 spirit stars could cooperate at all was because Li Taisui possessed overwhelming strength. There was completely no need to worry about ulterior motives from the others, but the Purple Thunder monster was different. To be honest, the cultivation of the man in front of her was lower than Li Taisui's, but those magnificent star generals that defied the natural order made Li Taisui break out into a cold sweat. Both sides had previously battled at the Crystal Dragon Palace. Cooperation was practically wishful thinking. Yang Zijin slowly sighed. Can it be we truly cannot set aside our differences to work together to end the star duels? This discussion of ending the star duels sounds pompous. Zijin, do you actually believe those demonkin? Shishouxiu snorted disdainfully. However, she was being hugged against Su Xing's chest. This pose appeared quite comical. My dear Zijin, I have a solution. Su Xing definitely did not want blue-faced beast to bare her fangs at this moment. Yang Zijin listened with rapt attention. I do not necessarily have to work together with Li Taisui. So long as after we scale Maiden Mountain and reach the 7 Stars Assembly, you naturally will see its conclusion. Zijin, can it be you feel that Panther Head Lin Yingmei, the Pilgrim, and the others have poor judgment? Su Xing earnestly said. His implication was, oh, my dear, Zijin. Let us pretend nothing happened here between us this time. Shishouxiu thought to herself that this guy really could bluff. The Panther Head and Pilgrim were 1,000-year martial generals, how could they follow one man? Could it be that this man actually was a new White Tiger 7 spirit star who was putting on a show with Yang Zijin to hook her in? Daredevil third brother had many theories. Yang Zijin stared at Su Xing. What Su Xing said did not have any gaps at all. Since they were ending the star duels, to become the 7 stars at the end was enough. If right now Yang Zijin was to make a move, this demonstrated that she was not in good faith. Her previous words would be merely excuses for believing in her own lies. My dear Zijin, you would not go back on your own word, would you? I really am fond of you, so I definitely believe in you. Su Xing smiled innocuously. Yang Zijin slightly pondered. She took a step forward, gently jumping down from the high-up cliff. Like a gentle feather, she lightly landed on the ground. If you wish to have Zijin believe in you, that is possible. You need only agree to Zijin's condition. Yang Zijin softly said. Was this beast really so reasonable? Su Xing did not dare believe it. Hand Xiuxiu over to Zijin. Yang Zijin gazed at the carried Xiuxiu. No can do. Su Xing bluntly refused. Since we will end the star duels together at the Seven Stars Assembly, are you not convinced with Xiuxiu on our side? Yang Zijin asked Su Xing in exchange. The condition Yang Zijin raised was very reasonable, and Su Xing could not refute it. However, to hand over Xiuxiu needed no consideration. Forgive me, my wife has ordered that your servant must bring Xiuxiu back. Su Xing shrugged. Zijin, if you agree to let Su Xing go, your servant shall return with you. Xiuxiu lugly called. If you do not wish to die, then you had best comply. Xiuxiu warned him. No can do. Su Xing did not hesitate to answer. Xiuxiu was stunned, feeling that she had misheard or that this man misunderstood. Zijin is worthy of your faith. If she promises to release you, then she definitely will not renege. Believe your servant, can it be you wish to make your wives wait for your corpse? Once a man makes his decision, no woman can sway him. Su Xing snorted. Xiuxiu grit her teeth and sneered, actually not speaking further. Your actions cause great difficulty for Zijin. Yang Zijin gently shook her head. Her left hand seized her blade. She slowly raised her hand, all of her movements soaring into the sky as naturally as a bird soaring through the sky, as naturally as a fish breathing in water. The negotiations had broken down. Her saber drew. A brilliant cold light lashed out like a viper, quickly launching a fatal strike. Su Xing's eyes narrowed, and he leapt backwards. What swift speed! A thin trickle of blood was faintly visible on his forehead. Yang Zijin held the extreme vast blue emperor saber in her hand. Her body was very light, as if it was being held gently aloft by the air. Then, she quickly launched an attack. Su Xing's divine intent moved. The 12 metal element flying swords heaven tearing suddenly appeared, coiling together into a gigantic golden sword to intercept her. Bang! The tip of heaven tearing barely caught the 5-star extreme vast blue emperor saber. My dear, next time, I'll have Ying Mei play with you. Su Xing had no wish to continue fighting her. He was not so arrogant to compare his strength to blue-faced beast. His escape technique activated. Thunder clapped, and he brushed past Yang Zijin. Those floating bangs were blown aside, revealing her eye-catching blue birthmark. Yang Zijin's figure vanished. A saber cut at him from behind. Saber chi dug into his body, breaking his flesh. Su Xing activated the meditative mind lotus flower. Petal upon petal of lotus flower blossomed upon his body, releasing golden light, majestic as it dispersed the incoming saber chi. Su Xing whirled around, holding Xiuxiu's slender waist in one arm while his right hand opened in a palm strike towards Yang Zijin. A giant purple thunder palm slammed down from the sky. With a crack. The purple mansion immortal thunder brought her no resistance at all. Yang Zijin's slash cleaved the purple thunder apart. In the next instant, the sword tip cut straight towards Su Xing. Su Xing was already prepared, and he swept 2 fingers in front of him. Instant frost flame emerged. The frost flame submerged Yang Zijin's silhouette. The instant frost flame was a flame of 0 degrees. Ordinary star generals could not easily break free. Look out! Xiuxiu shouted. Not good. Su Xing suddenly felt a chilly wind rolled over his back. Yang Zijin had surprisingly appeared behind him somehow. Her blade swung down. Even though Su Xing used light smoke dance steps to circle past the extreme vast blue emperor saber's lethal zone, Yang Zijin's attack was honestly too fast, too much as a surprise. Light Smoke Dance Steps was not able to avoid it completely. Another sloshy cut into the lotus flower, shattering most of the meditative mind lotus flower. So this is a top-notch martial general. As expected, you don't disappoint your servant at all. Su Xing formed a hand seal. Several hundred purple thunder lotus flowers manifested. Following Su Xing's hand motion, each petal of purple mansion immortal lotus erupted with purple qi, interweaving into a net that trapped Yang Ziijin. Go. Su Xing thought. Heaven Tearing drew a golden rainbow as it stabbed towards Yang Ziijin. Then, Su Xing again used the chaotic tail escape, thinking of using these few seconds to break away from Yang Ziijin's entanglement. But before he could move very far, a sneak attack of ice-cold saber chi once again blocked his route. A woman as indifferent as a cold breeze again somehow stood before him. Even the chaotic tail escape was unable to break away from her. Su Xing took a deep breath. The chaotic tail escape side effects made Su Xing's whole body ache unbearably. His consciousness began to falter. This speed is too fast. Su Xing grit his teeth. You do not want to set down Shishio? Yang Ziijin benevolently asked. Originally, they were already at a disadvantage, and he was even holding onto a woman, restricting his movements. Any ordinary star master should have made a decision about Yang Ziijin by now. At this moment, Su Xing's attention turned to a faint blue vortex beside Yang Ziijin. This blue whirlwind appeared vaguely like a fanged beast. He did not know if this was an effect of her killing intent or her aura. Shi Xiuxiu was currently a bit stunned. She did not expect this man to be this capable, to surprisingly be able to contend in several bouts with Yang Ziijin. Those body techniques and reactions just now astonished her. Shi Xiuxiu was fully aware of blue-faced beast's might. She thought that after Su Xing admitted a mistake, he would promptly throw her away and flee for himself first. But now, it appeared that he was holding her even tighter. Being hugged so tightly made Shi Xiuxiu very uncomfortable. At the same time, there was surprise in her heart. Shi Xiuxiu suddenly had the urge to pit herself against Su Xing. Shi Xiuxiu bluntly said, "Kill your servant right now and run." "Humph, this is your best choice. I will surely fulfill the promise I made to my wife." Su Xing panted. Although he said this, the situation appeared very dire. "Your servant is very impressed with your passion for battle, but, you will regret it." Shi Xiuxiu said nothing more. "Could it be you truly are willing to risk your life for someone you are completely unrelated to?" Yang Ziijin thought pensively. "To be frank, our beliefs in the army must be like this." Su Xing chuckled, "However, your servant treasures his own life very much and will not die so easily." Yang Ziijin nodded, seemingly recognizing Su Xing's choice. "Liked it?" "Ziijin, fight your servant." Would facing a cultivator without a star general not insult the dignity of the Dark Star? Shi Xiuxiu shouted, however, she was still held tightly against Su Xing's chest, so she appeared completely unconvincing. Dark Star blue-faced beast Yang Ziijin was indifferent. Her bangs covered that birthmark surrounding her eye, nevertheless showing one that was full of an indescribable depth. The star beast Blue Emperor that was like the wind flowed around the Dark Star. The girl softly said, "As long as he hands you over, Ziijin will not make things difficult for him. Hurry and put your servant down." Shi Xiuxiu coldly said, but when she stared straight into Su Xing's unwavering eyes, Daredevil Third Brother was speechless. Su Xing expressionlessly stared at Yang Ziijin. There was no sign of him letting go in the slightest. "Bring it. I will never hand her over to you." Su Xing answered without hesitation. As he said this, he retreated backwards, attacking with several purple mansion purple thunder. "Humph." Yang Ziijin grunted, and her figure moved. The star beast Blue Emperor slashed down like an unsheathed blade. The purple mansion immortal thunders were cut to shreds by the Blue Emperor. Su Xing's escape technique activated, and a bloodlight flashed. Yang Zijin's brows rose. The Blue Emperor suddenly darted into her body. Yang Zijin's body similarly moved, becoming a cold light that chased Su Xing. Such swift speed. A chilly wind blew behind him. The cold saber chi followed him like a shadow, astonishing Su Xing into a cold sweat. The chaotic tail escape was surprisingly completely unable to shake off blue-faced beast. The young Zijin behind him was like a tiger let out of its cage, its eyes fixed on Su Xing as if he was prey. She caught up in a few steps. Waving her hand, the extreme vast Blue Emperor saber brandished its fangs. Blue saber light dug into Su Xing's back like sharp fangs. Even with the Akla Wisdom King Chat and the Meditative Mind Lotus Flower's protection, this still made Su Xing feel the terror of the Dark Star. Go! Su Xing chanted. 12 flying swords appeared out from thin air. Under his divine intent control, he drew 12 golden rainbows. Cold chi nipped and stabbed at Yang Zijin. Clang 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 clang. The dance of metallic ringing and killing intent flowed through the air. Yang Zijin's swordsmanship flowed as smoothly as water and clouds, agile in her execution. The 12 heaven tearing appeared to mercilessly surround Yang Zijin, but under the woman's hand, they were easily suppressed. Su Xing already had no illusions that his flying swords could face Yang Zijin, but he hoped they could buy him enough time to flee the area. But in the White Tiger territory, Su Xing's speed was greatly inhibited. Yang Zijin already knew this environment like the back of her hand. To shake her off was very difficult. Several chaotic tail escapes later, Daredevil third brother could watch no longer. How are you a bigger daredevil than your servant? Just what are you planning to do with your servant? Shi Xiuxiu twisted her face and coldly spoke. Due to Su Xing's current actions, he greatly exceeded Shi Xiuxiu's logic. Since this man did not force a contract on her, nor did he kill her and take her star energy, instead protecting her, this honestly was outrageous. The Shi Xiuxiu who had never thought that such a thing would happen could only stiffen her face and use a harsh tone, hoping she could make Su Xing expose himself. This daredevil third brother is even more like a fierce white tiger than Wuxia is. Su Xing muttered under his breath, indifferent to her foul mood, but he worried about the pursuit of Yang Zijin behind him. The chaotic tail escape could not be used for too long. The wives in the star nest could not bear watching any longer, and a moment later, Su Xing finally stopped. Space flashed. The 12 heaven tearing returned and spiraled around Su Xing. He inspected them. Son of a bitch. His unstoppable heaven-tearing flying swords had been cut to pieces by Yang Zijin. That 5-star extreme vast Blue Emperor saber was indeed too troublesome. The 12 heaven-tearing were astonishingly withdrawn. Relax, I'm not gonna consume you. Su Xing said. If you want to kill your servant, then kill your servant. Do not play any tricks. Your servant will not sign a contract with you. Shi Xiuxiu clarified her position. I won't force you, but even if you can end 9 generations of star duels together with the Majestic Star and Harm Star, you aren't willing? Su Xing asked this question to toy with the thought a bit. He deliberately leaked the famous names of Majestic Star Pantherhead Lin Chong and Harm Star Pilgrim Wu Song to watch how Daredevil third brother would react. Shi Xiuxiu snorted in disdain. From the very start, she was unconvinced Su Xing could have star generals as renowned as the Majestic Star and Harm Star. On the contrary, she stuck Su Xing with the label of silvery tongue and disdainfully looked at him. Su Xing scratched his nose. He had inadvertently backfired. Can you walk? Su Xing put Shi Xiuxiu down. Shi Xiuxiu wrinkled her brow. She could barely stand. What are you thinking of doing to your servant? If you want to return my favor of saving your life, I don't need you to dedicate your heart to me. Just don't sign a contract with the White Tiger Territory's demon kin. Your servant never intended to. Even if they forced a contract, your servant is not afraid to fight him tooth and nail. Shi Xiuxiu sneered. That's fine. I don't want to become enemies with you. Su Xing sized her up. Shi Xiuxiu's face reddened. She sensed that her clothes were a bit wretched. Be careful yourself. I'm going to lure Yang Zijin away. When Su Xing finished speaking, the wind gusted, and he already vanished from sight. Shi Xiuxiu's mouth hung agape. She ruthlessly pinched herself. This man was covered in injuries, yet he wanted to lure Yang Zijin away for her sake. Could it be this was actually a trap by that white tiger territory old man, a deliberate ploy using this hero playing the beauty, aware of her resolute nature? Shi Xiuxiu knew that if a star general was delighted to sign a contract, then the star duels were beyond the control of a star general. Although she had an attachment to battle that exceeded the imagination, Shi Xiuxiu was no fool. She quickly brainstormed through the possibilities. Stinking man, how could your servant ever fall for your trick? Shi Xiuxiu muttered, not turning her head back as she moved carefully to hide in the other direction. Thus, after Su Xing used his chaotic tail escape several times, he was exhausted. His speed suddenly slowed. Just as Su Xing thought he had thrown off Yang Zijin, he turned his head back to look. The quiet forest had no silhouettes. Su Xing was worried about Shi Xiuxiu and expanded his vast divine intent to cover a range of several hundred li. What are you searching for? A gentle voice rose beside him. Su Xing smiled in embarrassment. He turned around to see the Yang Zijin in a white robe descend from the sky like an angel. Her fore gently touched the ground. Shi Xiuxiu is not here. Yang Zijin was expressionless. Zijin shall believe in your sincerity. Saying this, Yang Zijin seemed about to leave. All of a sudden, a bolt of purple mansion immortal thunder detonated, catching Yang Zijin off guard and beating her back. Are you misunderstanding something? Your servant merely felt that woman was a bit of a nuisance, and your servant wishes to test just how developed your martial arts are, to see how you compare to my wives. Su Xing raised his eyebrows. He raised his hand, and the similarly 5-star dragon sparrow Du-long saber appeared in his hand. Yang Zijin quietly stared at Su Xing, making no reply. Then in the next instant, something happened. An invisible saber chi emerged from her white clothes. Yang Zijin's body seemed to become a sword that cleaved heaven and earth. She unsheathed it at lightning-fast speed, her killing intent rocketing upwards. The instant she drew, time and space seemed to freeze. The surrounding atmosphere seemed to turn into a vacuum in an instant. Su Xing had a feeling of suffocation. That glittering wave of saber chi seemed to be the only thing that existed in the world, firmly restraining his body. And he seemed like a tooth with a cavity in this world. He was rolled into this killing intent, and he was seemingly being extracted. Tooth extraction. In a confrontation with a star general, Su Xing still did not feel Yang Zijin's yellow technique. Tooth extraction was not so formidable. Now that he was placed in a direct confrontation against the attack of a top-notch martial general, he finally understood just how frightening the first-rate martial generals were in the star duels. They absolutely were not existences that star masters could contend against. Yang Zijin's entire person was like a meteor, carrying powerful boldness, her blade cutting across Su Xing's body. For anyone else, decapitation would have been the inevitable result. But, Su Xing was not anyone else. He was majestic star Lin Yingmei's master, harm star Wuxia's hubby, the man of several top-notch martial generals. Bang! With a loud thunderclap, the entire world seemed to explode. The forest was blown apart, a storm danced wildly, and the demon beasts that were close by only felt their eyes dazzled by countless golden stars. They were surprisingly shocked stiff by this powerful attack. The glimmering saber chi instantly vanished. What was left were merely fragments filling the sky. Her bangs were lifted by the saber chi, revealing young Zijin's absolutely beautiful eyes and her surprised expression. Past the saber tip, she saw a pair of sharp eyes. This man blocked with the dragon sparrow long saber in front of his chest, surprisingly catching her trusted yellow technique. Su Xing suppressed the blood gurgling in his throat. He countered and raised the dragon sparrow long saber. A similar move. Dragon blood frontline. The broadsword whooshed, seemingly roaring like a dragon. The saber light moved at speeds that surpassed what the naked eye could track. The saber light instantly grew large before Yang Zijin's astonished eyes. The woman recovered her calm. She slightly raised her head, her long, flowing hair spreading out. With a whoosh, several hundred strands of hair were severed all at once. Dragon blood frontline saber chi brushed past Yang Zijin's unblemished skin. Heh. Su Xing immediately followed up with a bold and decisive strike. Young Zijin was still as calm as still waters, as if this slash was merely an illusion, and the young woman was also like an illusion. Her whole body was relaxed, gripping the hilt of her extreme vast blue emperor calmly and unperturbed. Neither fast nor slow, she slashed. A slash of the highest quality instantly appeared. Su Xing's eyes immediately widened. His ferocious attack was firmly stopped midway. An extreme saber chi had already inconceivably sliced his completely defenseless body. Saber chi erupted in his body, surprisingly shattering the meditative mind lotus seed. You obviously know that you are not my opponent. Why do you not run? Yang Zijin was perplexed. I'll run, but it's not the time yet. Su Xing very directly replied. Yang Zijin was speechless. If you believe you truly can save Xiuxiu, then receive your answer first from Zijin's saber. Yang Zijin's killing intent once again rose. Powerful killing intent rolled out like a dragon. Su Xing now was very clear about his situation. If her yellow technique was this powerful, then her dark technique and earth technique would perhaps leave him resting in pieces. On one hand, he needed to guard against Yang Zijin's heaven, earth, dark and yellow techniques. On the other, Su Xing needed to guarantee Xiuxiu's safety. Hey! A crisp shout. This is bad. Su Xing's expression changed. Yang Zijin suddenly exerted her strength. Her swordsmanship drew a dazzling, strange angle. This slash cut onto Su Xing's shoulder. His shoulder blade was smashed to pieces by the blade, causing Su Xing's brows to scrunch together in pain. Then, a powerful pressure pushed down from his shoulder, forcing him to kneel. At this moment, Su Xing was wide open. What a formidable realm! Su Xing's heart was shaken. Yang Zijin looked down on him. The two of them were so close that Su Xing could even smell blue-faced beast scent. Do you regret this now? Yang Zijin softly asked. This was bad. Su Xing clenched his fist, already considering a last-ditch effort of releasing the Ghost Cavalry King. Otherwise, death was inevitable. Your servant doesn't know what to regret, or do you feel victory is in your grasp? Just as Su Xing was about to revolt. Suddenly, a figure dashed over extremely quickly. Yang Zijin seemed to have already sensed it. The corner of her lips could not help but smile. She drew her saber and repelled the sneak attacker. Xiuxiu, you really should not waste this man's kindness. Yang Zijin softly said. Su Xing was shocked and speechless. Could this Xiuxiu be planning to die together with him? Liked it? Su Xing was actually about to blow his top. Although I've saved the beauty so many times, I've gone too far this time. To face Dark Star blue-faced beast on his own, this would be hard to pull off no matter how much stronger he was. And now that Xiuxiu was heavily injured, Su Xing did not feel that she came to help him. Su Xing raised his saber, first knocking aside Yang Zijin's saber that was buried in his shoulder. Then, despite the pain, he retreated several steps, maintaining a safe distance. When Su Xing saw Shi Xiuxiu's ragged appearance, he truly was somewhat defeated. But Yang Zijin was not so relaxed when she saw Shi Xiuxiu. On the contrary, she had an unprecedented grimness. As she was repelled by Su Xing's attack, she did not pursue him. She merely held her saber and quietly looked at Shi Xiuxiu. Could it be that you want to use your innate skill? Do you not know the consequences? Consequences? Su Xing did not understand. At this moment, Shi Xiuxiu let out a wild laugh. In that instant, her aura greatly changed. An incorporeal aura that seemed substantive appeared on Shi Xiuxiu's body. This swirling aura gradually burned like a flame, but it was not as pure as fire. Its appearance was a kind of clear light, as if it was overloading Shi Xiuxiu's body. Wisdom Star Daredevil third brother Shi Xiuxiu's eyes were gradually as red as blood. Gorgeous, raging flames wrapped around her whole body. Su Xing stared in awe. This was the first time he had seen a star general's body exhibit such a strange transformation. Is this all out? Inside the star nest, Yanizhan showed rare astonishment. What does that mean? Su Xing did not understand. Master, Daredevil third brother's innate skill all out is rumored to overload one's own life force to raise her martial arts realm to a new level while heavily injured. Yanizhan answered. But this type of innate skill cannot be used often. The longer the overload, the closer to a starfall she draws. In other words, this was a final technique that converted life energy into martial arts prowess. It was no wonder she had the title of Daredevil. Su Xing suddenly felt that Shi Xiuxiu's unwillingness to sign a star duel covenant was perhaps because she knew that her starfall was near, so she was not willing to involve a star master. As he pondered this, Yang Zijin's figure already warped. Her blade slashed directly toward Su Xing, a speck of blue light gathered on the blade. Blue-faced beast's pupils were full of a terrible killing intent. Su Xing immediately perceived the sign that she had activated her earth rank. He immediately attacked with the dragon sparrow Dulong saber. He used the earth rank saber technique, clothes full of flower fragrance. Several dozen flowers buds fell towards Yang Zijin, their odd fragrance wafting, covering his whole body. Su Xing used this earth rank relatively hastily. He basically had no hopes of relying on this attack to wound Yang Zijin. Su Xing even already was prepared to follow up by summoning Empress Tu and the Ghost Cavalry King, but just at this moment, an unexpected scene occurred. Against the sneak attacking saber technique, Yang Zijin neither dodged nor hid. She merely angled her blade. Against Su Xing's earth rank, she was steady yet unafraid. The flower buds fell, their scent wafted, and countless rays of saber chi suddenly burst forth. The flowers sent wildly sprayed, breaking open all of Yang Zijin's defenses in the blink of an eye. At the very last moment, Yang Zijin nevertheless took a step back, but even so, her spotlessly white clothes were still stained with a shocking splotch of red. Su Xing had no time to think too much. That Shi Xiuxiu ferociously rushed out. With her whole body seemingly burning with transparent flames, she appeared absolutely beautiful. Behind Shi Xiuxiu, there were flapping phoenix wings. This was the special trait of the true phoenix realm. Yang Zijin pulled back. She had already deliberated very thoroughly and comprehensively, yet she was still being pushed back by Shi Xiuxiu's frightening realm. Then, a slash similarly cut down onto her own shoulder the same as Su Xing's. Yang Zijin grunted, retreating even further away. Her divine intent moved. The star beast Blue Emperor soared and propped up Yang Zijin. It opened its mouth and spat out a blade-like whirlwind. Zijin fears your wives are in trouble. For the time being, Zijin Xiao, Yang Zijin finished halfway before resuming her silence. She merely glanced at Su Xing and Shi Xiuxiu. Although she appeared heavily injured, she seemed unhurt. Calm and unruffled as before as she turned to leave. Su Xing was somewhat in disbelief, up until his divine intent scanned about and actually did not find any trace of her. "What trick are you two playing? Your servant will not be duped." Shi Xiuxiu still maintained her all-out stance. Those proud, phoenix-like eyes were more intimidating than a king's. But Su Xing did not acknowledge anything. He shook his head. "You had best not overload your life force any further. Your servant shall let you off this once." Under all-out status, Shi Xiuxiu would arouse the deepest frenzy fighting intent her body could muster. In other words, she would practically lose all reason and be full of the will to fight. That she had this much rationality made Su Xing very surprised. Shi Xiuxiu turned around and immediately entered the forest. Her figure flashed away, disappearing from Su Xing's view. When Su Xing thought of Yang Zijin's words just now, he no longer had time to mind about Shi Xiuxiu's state. He rushed in the direction of Shiyu. Meanwhile, on Shiyu's side, following Xian Lao's actions, Shiyu had immediately sunken into the defensive. The flying sand wandering stone ability of this proud and aloof woman who hid all the time immediately darkened the area. Shiyu could only use the dual modes ruler to protect herself. All of her abilities were suppressed by Xian Lao, and this flying sand wandering stone was very out of the ordinary. The granules of sand flying about were like sharp blades, their sweeping lights as swift as lightning. On the other side, Han Bing was taking swift action. She used those 33 ancient black frost flying swords that were forged from the quintessence of prehistoric jade. They danced, a screen of blue light, their cold qi extending 10,000 zhang. The person herself was an expert in cold-type demon abilities. The flying swords she used were like tigers with wings. The cold lights came and went like lightning, and her magic energy was far more profound than Shiyu's. Luckily, Shiyu put forth all her strength. With a prehistoric spirit treasure like the dual modes ruler, she could defy the order of the five elements. Even so, she was at a disadvantage, so she could only bitterly persist. Xian Lao's star general, Peng Fei, already emerged. The woman was very ferocious, her hands gripping the double-edged saber star weapon, bright moon without border. 4 stars twinkled upon it, and her head of long, golden hair billowed like waves. The golden light upon her fluttered. Her heavenly eye was open on her forehead, making her appear as imposing and extraordinary as a god. The ranked 43rd woman saw several sisters yet did not greet them. She was aware of the severity of their situation. With a stern expression, without hesitation, she shouted, and the bright moon without border flashed. Countless golden lights shot towards Zhang Feiyu and Shiyu's group. Dark technique. Marooned on 4 seas. When Zhang Feiyu saw that she had used such a powerful technique so quickly, she promptly raised her star weapon to block. Peng Fei pointed, expressionlessly pouncing forth with that bright moon without border saber reaching bone deep. She flung herself forwards, tightly biting down and not letting go. If she was fighting alone, the 43rd ranked Peng Fei could not possibly be the 28th ranked boatman's opponent, but with Xian Lao using her powers to suppress them, the matching between master and servant was very tacit, making Zhang Feiyu completely unable to withstand this. Little lowly Gongsun Huang moved urgently when saw this. Her eyes instantly flared with scarlet light, becoming solemn and serious. Gongsun Huang pointed her sword and activated the dark ranked technique half-destroyed landscape to lessen the pressure on Zhang Feiyu. Immediately afterwards, the girl's light body swayed, stepping as light as a cloud. Gorgeous wings several meters wide sprouted from her back. Gongsun Huang instantly transformed into a phoenix. Powerful flames instantly blew away Xian Lao's flying sand wandering stone. In that instant, the expression of the stone-faced Xian Lao could not help but move. She was suddenly alarmed. To be able to shock Xian Lao so cool. This naturally was the earth rank magic of the number 1 magic energy star general, Jiangsun Huang. Phoenix Execution Sky Break. The earth rank magic of the number 1 magic energy star general was extremely fierce. Xin Lao's powerful magic energy obstruction was easily broken. Gong Sun Huang's attack proceeded without stopping. Even though General of Heavenly Vision Peng Fei immediately opened her heavenly eye, she had no way to keep up with the earth rank of dragon in the clouds. The woman grit her teeth, blocking in front of Xin Lao, slashing repeatedly with the bright moon without border. Similarly, she did not hold back her earth technique. To the horizon's end. 3. Peng Fei suddenly charged, her bright moon saber letting out thousands of rays of golden light. Each ray was like an endless blade. The saber lights interwove, leaving no blind spot as they attacked Gong Sun Huang. The killing intent of each ray was extreme, leaving no gaps. But Phoenix Execution Sky Break was honestly too powerful. Peng Fei's earth rank could not withstand it. The magnificent phoenix paused for only an instant before tearing apart to the horizon's end. Then, it slammed into Peng Fei's abdomen. Powerful star energy immediately rushed into the woman's internal organs, promptly turning her face ashen, but Peng Fei only shouted, "Master, quickly flee." When she finished, Peng Fei was killed into the star nest. And Gong Sun Huang's earth rank did not stop there, proceeding to hurtle towards Xin Lao. Xin Lao's expression was grave and stern, but she unexpectedly did not flee. The woman stamped her foot. The earth promptly rumbled. A powerful force shook the air, surprisingly suppressing Gong Sun Huang's Phoenix Execution Sky Break. Although the power of Phoenix Execution Sky Break was greatly reduced after killing Peng Fei, to be able to stop her earth rank, Gong Sun Huang's eyes nevertheless showed a bit of astonishment. But how could the number 1 magic energy star general give up? Gong Sun Huang gently shouted. Her star energy swelled and broke through its limit. While Gong Sun Huang and Xin Lao clashed, Han Bing did not stand idly by. Seeing Dragon in the clouds use her trump card, Han Bing did not dare be overconfident. She telepathically ordered Ling Feishue to first release a concentrated barrage. Then, Han Bing's flying swords finally pierced through the dual mode's ruler's defenses. She used the thin ice world of her ice heart appreciation to instantly arrive in front of Shiyu. Everything was within Han Bing's control. How could Shiyu deal with this kind of 1,000-year demonkin? Humph. Eat Han Bing's terrified to the bone. Han Bing sneered, clenching two fingers together. She pointed chilling cold in her fingers, just like a knife, stabbing it straight towards Shiyu's chest. Shiyu's expression sank. She instinctively circulated her magic energy for protection. Han Bing thrust her fingers right towards Shiyu's chest. An extremely cold chill immediately passed through her fingers through the meridians over Shiyu's whole body. The girl's eyes widened, and her complexion turned pale. She could only feel a chill course through her whole body. Her brain boomed, and she immediately lost any resistance. Han Bing's terrified to the bone had reached her heart, and it was able to seal a cultivator's abilities. It was difficult to escape from once struck. However, this was extremely draining on Han Bing's magic energy. Han Bing's mind thought only of killing one of the Purple Thunder monster's arms. She used her demonkin abilities at full power. Just as she was about to instantly thoroughly kill Shiyu, a burst of pain suddenly erupted in her abdomen. She lowered her head to look. An arrow had pierced straight through Shiyu and surprisingly shot into herself. Han Bing raised her head in astonishment. And just happened to catch Sai of Hua Wanyue firing another arrow. Courting death. 1. Makes literally no sense, but okay, right arrow curving left 4. Funnily enough, this shares the same name as one of an old star general's attacks. Hua Wanyue's heartbreak without a scar just barely stopped Han Bing. Han Bing, who was greatly drained of magic energy, vomited blood. Having been shot away by the power of the hero star's arrow, Han Bing looked to Ling Feishue, as if she was confused how her star general could not stall Hua Wanyue, but when she looked, she noticed that Ling Feishue's body had already become a pincushion. She was completely powerless to continue battle. The earthly star 4 Heavenly King relied on staunch willpower to finally drag herself to the front line for Han Bing. Bitch! Shiyu descended from the sky. Her body was as cold as ice, as if she was lifeless. With her contractor injured, the similarly affected Zhang Feiyu raised her flaming Fish King saber in near madness. These days, she did not care for her appearance, which was slovenly. The foul-mouthed boatman currently was truly infuriated. Enduring her battered and tired body, she used her swordsmanship. Han Bing was inwardly flabbergasted. She did not plan to hold back, but now she suddenly felt a powerful aura flying quickly towards this place. The entire forest was suppressed by that aura, a deathly silence. Purple Thunder Monster. Han Bing's heart jumped. She was greatly astonished that blue-faced beast was somehow unable to slay the Purple Thunder Monster. Could it be that she had been defeated by the Purple Thunder Monster? Han Bing was very clear on Yang Zijin's strength, but she was similarly aware of how abnormal the Purple Thunder Monster was. Regarding Li Taisui's recruitment of the Purple Thunder Monster, Han Bing was not willing to have faith in him from the very start. Now that the Purple Thunder Monster was returning, Han Bing also knew that continuing further like this perhaps would result in her retreating not in one piece. Glancing at the already motionless Shiyu, Han Bing believed that her terrified to the bone had already destroyed the opponent's life completely. She would not live for much longer. It seems there will be no possibility for collaboration now. The corner of Han Bing's lips curled slightly. Without any hesitation she shouted, "Xian Lao, we are leaving now. Fei Xue, return to the star nest. Next time, Fei Xue will definitely use her cannon to best your bow and arrow fair and square." Ling Fei Xue was very indignant, instantly returning to the star nest. Han Bing waved her hand, retracting all of her powers. Withdrawing, vanishing into the horizon in the blink of an eye. "Where are you going?" Hua Wanyue shouted furiously, firing an arrow. Powerful killing intent exploded out of her bow. A channel was ripped open through the White Tiger territory skies, forests, and oceans under the influence of this 10,000-li god-killing arrow. The arrow disappeared into the horizon, and faint shriek echoed back. Hua Wanyue inwardly grit her teeth. She set the heaven-earth-sun-moon bow down, already showing a weary appearance. Xian Lao and Gongsun Huang battled fiercely. Xian Lao borrowed the White Tiger territory's increased gravity using the power of the 5 sacred mountains, suppressing Phoenix Execution Skybreak, but in the end, Gongsun Huang's Phoenix Execution Skybreak was still victorious. She completely shattered the entire zone of pressure. Finally, Xian Lao also had no choice but to flee far away through the earth. Instantly, Han Bing and Xian Lao's presences had already completely disappeared, leaving not a single bit of regret. As it happened, not long after, that aura that made Han Bing afraid appeared suddenly in the sky above. As she had thought, he was none other than Su Xing, who had rushed over as fast as he could. Shiyu and Han Bing's battle honestly had lasted quite a while. Su Xing had rushed over with all his power, but Han Bing relied on the White Tiger territory's topography to launch a lightning-fast battle. In the end, she had forced the 2 top-notch star generals Gongsun Huang and Hua Wanyue into completely using their earth ranks. Even so, they were unable to hold off Han Bing. "Shiyu!" Su Xing shouted in worry. He appeared in front of Shiyu, hugging her. In that brief touch, a biting cold sensation reached his internal organs, making Su Xing shiver. To be able to make a super void cultivator feel cold, it was obvious how vicious this technique of Han Bing's was. Su Xing grit his teeth, immediately opening the meditative mind lotus flower, pouring its potent magic energy into Shiyu's body, protecting her meridians that had been invaded by the chill. Zhang Feiyu. Hua Wanyue was stunned. She saw Zhang Feiyu was tottering on the edge of collapse and promptly propped her up. The boatman was completely exhausted. The mortal blow her contractor sustained had also nearly severed her life, but the girl did not despair or show dejection. She looked at Su Xing and instead had a sort of feeling of relief, as if as long as he was here, she definitely would be okay. That unprecedented feeling of comfort made Zhang Feiyu weakly smile. Su Xing, I leave Shiyu to you. If she is all right, then this Feiyu shall offer her own body as recompense. You had better return to the star nest to recuperate. I'll take care of things here. Su Xing sternly said. Zhang Feiyu had wanted to laugh a bit. She vomited a few mouthfuls of blood before she finally was left with no choice but to smile wretchedly and enter the star nest. Your Highness. Gongsun Huang blinked. Seeing Shiyu's appearance, she showed a concerned expression. Forgive me, my lord, please punish me. This is because I was unable to protect Lady Shiyu. Hua Wanyue begged forgiveness. Su Xing shook his head. He did not want to entertain this subject any further. He continuously poured magic energy into Shiyu, sensing just how formidable that cold was. That biting chill was cold even to Su Xing. Finally, he was barely able to preserve Shiyu's meridians using the meditative mind lotus flower, but the remaining trace of ice cold did not abate. No matter how much power Su Xing used, he was unable to dispel it. Even Su Xing could still feel the cold bite back. At this moment, An Suan said, Big brother, this way cannot dispel it. Instead, you will harm yourself. Little sister, do you have some countermeasure? Su Xing asked. Perhaps you can use the yang energy of a fire element medicine or magic energy to counteract it. An Suan answered. Fire element? Su Xing paused. He remembered the fire spirit magic Sarira. Immediately opening his mouth, a completely red Sarira was spat out. He then placed it in Shiyu's mouth. As expected, Shiyu's chilled body warmed up greatly. Sir. Shiyu was muddle-headed. Curling up against Su Xing's chest, it was clear she was still unbearably cold. Not enough. Are there any other fire element materials? Su Xing was somewhat worried. Fire element materials? Master, are you not searching for the clinging heaven vermilion Jian? Yan Yizhen gently reminded her master. The clinging heaven vermilion Jian spirit should work. An Suan muttered a bit. Good. Let's go kill that clinging heaven vermilion Jian right now. Su Xing carried 11 yu, very distressed to see the shivering Shiyu. Kill the clinging heaven vermilion Jian? Tang Lianxin was a bit concerned. A divine bird like the clinging heaven vermilion Jian was already not so easy to face. If Lin Yingmei or Wuxia were here, to kill it would perhaps not be a problem, but because they had considered only to obtain the feathers of the clinging heaven vermilion Jian, the Pantherhead and Pilgrim did not follow them to the White Tiger territory this time. With just the few of them, killing it would perhaps be somewhat difficult. However, at this time, there was already no one who could stop Su Xing's determination. Little Huang, Wanyue, properly recuperate. Perhaps there will be some difficulty in a moment. Su Xing said with concern. Little Huang sat on Su Xing's shoulder. The leisure star's most beloved recuperation was perhaps to quietly sit on his shoulder and watch the wind blow the clouds away. Hua Wanyue nodded and sat cross-legged at the bow of the star riding boat, quietly looking into the distance. Just when Su Xing changed his plans to kill the clinging heaven vermilion Jian, he nevertheless did not realize there was already a girl one step ahead of him. An extremely remote mountain range in the White Tiger territory, only a range of 100 li compared to those motionless mountains across several tens of thousands of li, those grasses across several tens of thousands of li, this was no more than a small hill. This hill was named by the White Tiger Demonkin as Clinging Bird Hill. This hill was not large, and the trees of the grove here were not lush like the ancient forests. The trees of Clinging Bird Hill were as red as fire. Even the brush was a fiery red. The fauna that lived at this Clinging Bird Hill had hair like flames. Most were fire element beasts. And upon entering the range of Clinging Bird Hill, the temperature would skyrocket to 100. The air contorted as if it was being broiled, and the temperature was stifling. But this did not amount to anything. The oddest thing was that at the top of Clinging Bird Hill was a large tree. It was 1,000 zhang tall, its trunk very thick. Several hundred people would be needed to wrap around it. This large tree grew tall and straight, and its canopy was lush. Each leaf was shaped like a flame, as if it was on fire. From far away, it seemed that Clinging Bird Hill was in the middle of a conflagration. This tree's name was Clinging Wood, which was a prehistoric fire element tree. This treetop was aflame. There was a bird's nest the size of 1 li. It was unclear what it was constructed from. With a sweet scent, the grass was a fiery red color, but it nevertheless released rainbow vapors and lights. A magic and propitious cloud lingered around the nest, which was also covered by the tree's leaves. Even if someone stood underneath the tree, they would not be able to see the bird nest above. From far away, Zhao Hanyan inspected that bird nest. As the legend said, while Clinging Bird Hill appeared tranquil, it was the most dangerous of the White Tiger Territory's 5 great forbidden grounds. The divine bird perched atop that enormous tree was the Clinging Heaven Vermilion Jian. This divine bird's power was unmatched. Even a human metamorphosed demon kin could not carelessly provoke it. Even before they had stepped into the Clinging Bird Hill's range, Zhao Hanyan could feel a sort of pressure. Princess Highness, have you actually properly considered giving Su Xing a pleasant surprise? The woman beside Zhao Hanyan was mighty, yet her words and conduct carried an enticing feeling. Junqing, what do you feel about this princess' intentions? Zhao Hanyan smiled and asked back. Dong Junqing shrugged and looked to that bird nest, eager to give a try. It was clear that the 5-tiger General Steadfast Star General of Double Spears was already full of a willingness to challenge it. That man is truly fortunate to have found such a good wife in Princess. What a pity that he nevertheless loves to womanize, but, this general likes that. Dong Junqing laughed. Zhao Hanyan was helpless. Although the Clinging Heaven Vermilion Jian was frightening, Zhao Hanyan wanted to test the extent of her tacit understanding with Dong Junqing for the star duels. She did not know how, but having known Su Xing for so long, her old will to fight had greatly dampened. It actually seemed as Junqing had said. She seemed to have a married couple's satisfaction. This is not good at all. Zhao Hanyan slightly sighed in her heart. Just as the Ling Yan princess was about to step into Clinging Bird Hill, she suddenly sensed a presence fly over from far away. That presence was not of the demon kin. It was an ordinary cultivator who had apparently also come to challenge the Clinging Heaven Vermilion Jian. Could it be that man has already come? Dong Junqing twitched her lip, feeling this was regrettable. Zhao Hanyan wrinkled her brow. The newcomer already appeared in front of her. Clad in a red robe, with red hair, and a fair and graceful countenance, he honestly was someone familiar to Zhao Hanyan, only he was not Su Xing one. Recall that while technically is a word that can mean clinging, in context, it is actually fire. The wretched Yi Futu could not lighten up a single bit. On the contrary, his expression became even more conflicted. Yi Futu and Zhao Hanyan were familiar with one another. Their relationship could not be said to be close, but neither were they strangers. Regardless, Yi Futu had been called a genius ever since he was young, and Zhao Hanyan was also a stunning and outstanding genius cultivator. Over a very long period of time, Zhao Hanyan and Yi Futu would always be the topic of comparison in Liangshan continent's high society. There was even a rumor that Emperor Liang already had intentions to betroth Zhao Hanyan to Yi Futu. Their families were well matched. From an outsider's perspective, this was naturally logical. However, after Yi Futu became a cripple, this dazzling rumor finally stopped. Afterwards, Yi Futu disappeared, and everyone even forgot about this matter. But Yi Futu did not forget. Zhao Hanyan's beauty in the Great Liang dynasty and her own talent were both breathtaking, catching the eyes of countless Great Liang dynasty princes and nobles. Yi Futu was no exception. It was very difficult to say what pushed him through life-threatening crises after he entered the White Tiger territory in search of an opportunity, his determination to not be a haunting ghost, or his attachment for a certain person. To support continuing that rumor of a match made in heaven when he returned. After he learned that Zhao Hanyan joined the Star Duels, Yi Futu had felt a pang of regret. He meticulously shunned this matter and did not seek out Zhao Hanyan to reminisce first thing. Yi Futu thought of 1,000 different ways to meet Zhao Hanyan again, but he never imagined they would meet up so suddenly, to unexpectedly encounter each other at Clinging Bird Hill. In that instant, Yi Futu thought he was seeing things. Little sister Hanyan, why have you come to this place? This princess heard that you had joined the White Tiger territory, Futu, so Hanyan has come to see just how exceptional the White Tiger territory must be, for that just and righteous man in Hanyan's memory to switch sides. Zhao Hanyan slightly smiled and said. However, congratulations are in order. Yi Futu, you have entered Supervoid stage. These words suddenly sounded ear-piercing to Yi Futu. All of a sudden, his heart flared with fury. Although he had finally broke through to Supervoid, compared to Zhao Hanyan's recent arrival at the peak of Supervoid middle stage, he was still a bit lacking. This Futu has also heard that you and the Purple Thunder monster have a dubious relationship, little sister Hanyan. Ah, little sister, you must see him clearly. To put yourself and your family with a monster whose origins are unknown, be careful that the gains do not make up for the losses. Really, thank you for concern, Futu. Princess has already given her body to Su Xing. In body and heart, she is already his. You are a bit too late to drive a wedge between them. Dong Junqing guffawed. Yi Futu's eyes widened. He dared not believe this. His fists clenched tightly, his knuckles turning white. He forced himself to endure the indignation in his heart. You unexpectedly gave yourself to the Purple Thunder monster. Hanyan, how could you be so foolish? Must this princess ask you for permission on anything? Zhao Hanyan coldly said. You will reap what you sow, Yi Futu said. Yi Futu. You are the one who shall reap what he has sown. Zhao Hanyan retracted her smile and sneered, you have betrayed the Azure Dragon territory, schemed with the demon kin. Do you honestly believe there is a good ending for you? The Azure Dragon territory already considers you a disgrace. And what would you understand, Ling Yan princess raised in your ivory tower? Yi Futu could not hold back his anger and shouted, your servant has suffered countless hardships. Must your servant bear your criticisms for anything? In your servant's eyes, the Azure Dragon's insignificant people are not worth a mention, unable to be compared with the generosity of the demon kin. It seems that this princess must properly teach you a lesson on behalf of little sister Lingxi, make you wake up. Zhao Hanyan shook her head. Futu. There is no need to say anything more to her. Here, we do not need to fear her. A flash of light. Hao Bingxin appeared, indignant. Oh, to teach a man a lesson. Then leave it to this general. Dong Junqing licked her chapped lips, an appearance of 800 years of discontent. Her hands fiddled with her dragon phoenix yin-yang spears as she spoke, this general's spear is already starving. So shameless. Hao Bingxin snorted. Yi Futu was somewhat hesitant. The first reason was that he knew Zhao Hanyan's star general was a Five Tigers general. Hao Bingxin absolutely was not her opponent. Although he had trained his skills in real combat to react to a situation like this, Zhao Hanyan's strength still made him relatively fearful. Secondly was Zhao Hanyan herself. His heart was faintly still unwilling to hurt Zhao Hanyan. However, from Zhao Hanyan's perspective, this hurt perhaps was arrogance, maybe even wishful thinking. Yi Futu, it has been so long. Why not let this princess see to what extent you are at? Hanyan is very curious. Zhao Hanyan narrowed her eyes, as if she was smiling. It would be better to let Junqing Star duel with you, see how long you can last, Yi Futu. Ling Yan Princess, you are honestly egotistical. Fine, then. Futu also wants to know in these years of absence just what skills that famous Ling Yan Princess have developed. However, if you lose, do not blame Yi Futu for deflowering you, to not miss old affections. Yi Futu coolly said. What old affections? If my husband heard this, he would be suspicious. Zhao Hanyan slightly smiled. However, Yi Futu, if you lose, then this princess asks that you understand your own situation, die, you. Hao Bingxin was already extremely angry. This was the first time she had seen the ordinarily composed and refined Master Futu so out of sorts, ill at ease, envious. She shouted and dexterously swung that enormous sword that did not suit her age. Dong Junqing was already impatiently flying through the sky, her spears in her hands. She ravenously beat her way over. You two can chat with this general about passions. Hao Bingxin's star beast codfish jail completely possessed her body, making the little lowly appear as delicate as snow. In a split second, she engaged her battle potential innate skill, revealing her pride as an earthly star for great heavenly kings. At the instant Dong Junqing suddenly stabbed forth, she flashed to Dong Junqing's flank. The giant sword in her hand flowed like a ribbon. Just by slightly raising it, a bone-chilling cold rolled over. As if the giant sword blew an ice-cold breeze, it blew into Dong Junqing's body. Interesting. Dong Junqing chuckled. She knew this was the magnificent star's yellow technique, absolute psi ice dust. Although the magnificent star was merely an earthly star, she possessed an exceptional innate skill like the heavenly majestic star. She was the fastest at growing mid-battle. If this was the Dong Junqing from before, perhaps she would be inattentive, but having lost her virginity, Dong Junqing already fought all out in all battles now. Before this silver light could taste blood, General of Double Spears Dong Junqing's Dragon Phoenix Yin Yang spears swept over. She judged that her opponent's speed was exceptional and that her martial arts sense was frightening. Hao Bingxin naturally did not feel she could rely on a single absolute psi ice dust yellow technique to easily defeat her opponent. Her attack just now was not at full power, still leaving margin for a retreat. Following a whirl of her massive weapon, the paths the silvery sword drew were no longer in a straight line. They became countless different trajectories. Then Junqing shall also give little sister a yellow technique to tantalize little sister's excitement. Dong Junqing's hands gripped her spears. She quickly attacked, her wrists twisting the Dragon Phoenix Yin Yang spears. The red and yellow double spears danced like a dragon and a phoenix. In Dong Junqing's hands, they quickly changed. Then, a large Yin Yang spearlight slashed twice in the air at extreme speed, flowing like a cyclone towards Hao Bingxin. Yellow technique. Yin Yang cross slash. In just an instant, her unstoppable attack was shredded by blinding rays this concentrated spearlight brought. Hao Bingxin's expression became stern, far from as comfortable as Dong Junqing was earlier. The steadfast star's attack was more sudden than she had imagined. The perceptive little lowly very quickly realized that while she appeared to be toying around, in actuality, this Five Tigers' general elder sister was already ready to kill her in a single spurt of energy. Damn it! Loathsome! Hao Bingxin used her massive sword as a shield, retreating backwards at the same time, barely preserving her life. The spearlight poured down like a great storm, forming a defined zone. Only at this moment did Hao Bingxin finally react. With a look of disbelief, she turned her head to see that Dong Junqing had appeared behind her. She used the yellow technique while it still lingered to intercept her escape route at high speed. What kind of damned reactions were these? Was this a Five Tigers' great general? Hao Bingxin's expression changed, but the girl did not give up. She had a rare support-type star beast. The lowly was slashed by the spear, but she did not back down. Rather, she once again excited her potential. Instantly, a series of pure, silvery white afterimages pounced at Dong Junqing. "Don't underestimate me, bitch." How Bingxin hacked at Dong Junqing, at every angle, every gap. She was swift to the extreme, surprising even Dong Junqing. Dong Junqing's pupils shrunk, and her figure flashed away as light as smoke. At the same time, that line of sword afterimages smashed downwards. Each ray of silver was like a blooming flower. Blinding sword light soared several dozen meters in all directions, then vanished into thin air the next second. Intercepting rays of light flew out from the twin spears in her hands, clashing continuously with metallic ringing. When the battle was left only with the sound of the wind, both of the fighters had withdrawn at the same time, standing about 50 meters apart facing each other. As expected, the White Tiger territory is a precious place to learn through experience. It seems that little sister has been taught well. Dong Junqing smiled in admiration. Her smile was very flirtatious, very charming. Several droplets of blood dripped down from her spears onto the ground. They appeared extremely eye-catching on the withered grass. When she came to the White Tiger territory, Dong Junqing already sensed that this terrain was a challenge for martial generals. Now, it seemed that the four great heavenly king before her eyes indeed had real skill. That defeat last time at Yang Zijin's hands seemed nothing special. No way. How can I lose to her? Dong Junqing licked the blood on her spear. How Bingxin grit her teeth. They had only exchanged a couple of blows, but she surprisingly had a feeling of strain. She did not answer to this provocation, as if she was more calm than Dong Junqing had thought, but she vigilantly monitored her each and every move. At the same time, she took the opportunity to check her wound. One was a cut on her arm, and the other was a cut across her cheek. Both were only very shallow flesh wounds, completely unable to influence her ability to continue fighting. Even if she knew that these were not major wounds, Hao Bingxin still wrinkled her brow. In just a fleeting exchange of blows, this elder sister was able to find a gap using her spearmanship that combined attack and defense together, ingeniously counterattacking. If she then continued to use the same style, perhaps her wounds would not be so easy to shrug off. A Five Tigers great general was indeed fully deserving of their reputation. This is truly irritating. Even if she continually used powerful techniques, combining them perfectly together, Dong Junqing still could evade them without sustaining injury. Furthermore, whilst evading, she could injure Hao Bingxin. This kind loathsome reaction speed truly was more troublesome than those demon beasts. As if I would be afraid of you. Hao Bingxin once again raised her sword. Meanwhile, Yi Futu watched the two-star generals battle. His heart was also fully focused on memorizing the Five Tigers generals' attack patterns. As expected of the highest-ranked martial generals of Maiden Mountain's 108-star maidens. For opening attack and defense techniques to surprisingly already be proficient to such a degree in Yi Futu's eyes, those swift attacks seemed as unruffled and calm as Su Xing was when they previously sparred. A heavy sigh rose in the spectating Yi Futu's heart. It seemed that defeating Dong Junqing would be somewhat difficult. Yi Futu looked again at Zhao Hanyan and found her to be seemingly aloof. She merely smiled as she watched the battle, as if victory was at hand. Of course the Ling Yan princess would be absolutely self-confident. At the core of the star duels, a star duel was just like this, a confrontation between Zhao Hanyan and Yi Futu's martial generals. However, Zhao Hanyan spared the Star Master's portion. Zhao Hanyan took no action, but Yi Futu did not dare be too trusting. After all, the opponent's cultivation was higher than his, any action taken rashly on his part would instead make the situation even more dangerous. His heart had a burst of indignation. He inwardly clenched his fists, biding his time. However, that just now was only a warm-up. Dong Junqing curled the corners of her lips. Then, she suddenly leapt at the lowly with her spears in reverse grip. Starting now, this general shall face you seriously. You talk too much. Hao Bingxin clearly shouted, defiantly raising her silver sword tip towards the spearlight falling from the heavens. The instant the weapons collided, countless dazzling sparks were scattered. Two fleeting figures once again sunk into battle. However, this time was somewhat different. Hao Bingxin did not dare linger where she stood for too long. Rather, she made herself run along with the dancing motions of her giant sword. It was very difficult to imagine that a little lowly's petite body was capable of swinging that giant weapon around as if it was an extension of her arm. The sword was like a part of her own body. This kind of ease impressed even Dong Junqing. Dong Junqing's expression changed, and the praise in her eyes turned into killing intent. A crisis loomed. The atmosphere turned silent. Hao Bingxin's gradually became cautious. Without any warning, Dong Junqing's aggression suddenly magnified. The airflow and sword light in front of her suddenly dispersed. Countless rays of spearlight instantly obscured her line of sight. In the fluttering light rays, Dong Junqing's graceful figure suddenly rushed out at Hao Bingxin. The double spears she held flashed with ice-cold, intersecting rays of yin and yang. Bloodlight suddenly appeared. Hao Bingxin already was putting all her power into defense, but though her reactions were fast, she was completely unable to evade this attack. Her jacket ripped, and a long gash already appeared under her ribs. Blood flowed out from the wound. A slight numbness instantly rolled through the girl's whole body, nearly killing the star beast codfish jail possessing her body. But Hao Bingxin's reactions were so fast. If it was anyone else, they probably would not have been able to even consider it, but Hao Bingxin possessed a star beast and was already able to make decisions others could not imagine. Without thinking, the little lowly firmly stamped the ground. Her apparently frail body had powerful leg strength. The strong force instantly dug into the ground, and the surrounding zhang of earth seemed to violently quake. Borrowing the enormous recoil, Hao Bingxin's figure already flew back several dozen meters. Dong Junqing's brows were knit together, as if she was unable to believe this one blow was surprisingly unable to kill the star beast. She did not expect that with her skill, she would surprisingly fail. She had believed things were in the bag. However, Dong Junqing did not hesitate. Anything could happen in battle, nothing could go the way she pleased. This kind of matter did not need any consideration. After a moment, Dong Junqing immediately continued to press the attack. An intense whirlwind promptly appeared on the ground. The vegetation on the grass was stirred by this whirlwind, showing a perplexing scene. In this scene, a terrifying dragon and phoenix cry instantly resounded. Fittingly, Dong Junqing wielded the dragon phoenix yin-yang spears with beautiful posture. Hao Bingxin lowered her body, making her entire figure stick completely next to the ground. The girl was as fast as lightning, instantly crossing the distance of several dozen meters, breaking free from Dong Junqing. Somersaulting along the ground, the little lowly's martial arts had already gone through a round of battle with Su Xing's party at any rate. She could be considered experienced. In terms of aggression, she was not afraid of Dong Junqing. She swung her sword directly down towards Dong Junqing's body. A loud whoosh of wind flooded the area. Even the surrounding trees were uprooted by the gust lifted by the giant sword. A white dragon flew out of the sword. White dragon leaving sword tip. Hao Bingxin's dark technique and Dong Junqing's dragon phoenix double spears danced. That indistinct figure suddenly shuddered, surprisingly vanishing before Hao Bingxin's attack reached, as if it never existed in the first place. This made the little lowly's attack become completely useless. Ha! Hao Bingxin's eyes flashed with a pale light. Bang! White dragon leaving sword tip ripped the surroundings completely to shreds. Rip, rip. Shredding sounds echoed continuously. Countless slim shadows shot out from Hao Bingxin's surroundings. Flickering, strange lights suddenly shot towards the girl. The world seemed to become blood red in her eyes. She could clearly sense danger. Hao Bingxin lifted her sword and spun. The tip of her blade drew a silver-white light that stuck to the ground, lifting up. The sword-dipped silver light wrapped Hao Bingxin's body tightly within. All of the thin spear lights were blown asunder by this. Hao Bingxin's surroundings were a complete mess. Danger! Hao Bingxin suddenly shook. Dong Junqing surprisingly appeared behind her at some point in time. Pain came from her back when the double spears swung down. Yi Futu was finally unable to wait. He roared, flying head-on to catch Hao Bingxin. Just when Dong Junqing's spears hacked at her, he barely saved Hao Bingxin from those spears. Dong Junqing stopped her pursuit. Due to Yi Futu's curious and unbelievable gesture just now, she calmly asked, "It appears you have some ability, quite like a certain someone. The magnificent star's innate skill is battle potential. You should not be too lacking." Yi Futu's face was grim. The palm of his hand was completely soaked in Hao Bingxin's blood. "Be careful, this elder sister is very formidable." Hao Bingxin's eyes gradually recovered their clarity, and she vomited blood. "Can you continue?" Yi Futu asked. Hao Bingxin nodded, but further combat would be more fatiguing. Because Dong Junqing had already killed her star beast Codfish Jail a moment ago, Hao Bingxin was very depressed. If she had known earlier, she would have used her earth rank. "Do you concede defeat?" Dong Junqing twirled her spears. The two magnificent weapons were as light as paper in her hands, exceptionally graceful. "Concede defeat? What is the point of continuing the star duels if we admit defeat here?" Yi Futu coldly said. "It has been a very long time since I have seen such an interesting star master." Dong Junqing's voice carried a very faint sense of admiration. This was not like arrogance, more like an acknowledgement of strength. "Then, come." After Yi Futu settled Hao Bingxin, he resolutely faced her. At practically that instant, Yi Futu excited his battle potential. The extreme fire flying swords immediately spiraled around to attack. While the flying swords entangled Dong Junqing, in the next second, Yi Futu fully displayed his speed. Instantly, the air let out an explosion. Yi Futu had already vanished without a trace. Dong Junqing's brows rose. This kind of speed is not bad. She did not hesitate to turn around. Her double spears swept aside the flying swords, and she used the spears to clear an area around her body. She knew that regardless of how quick he was, his final objective was only to injure her, and to injure her, he must inevitably come to her. The 5 Tiger General Star Maiden's judgment was indeed accurate. From just Yi Futu's last-second rescue of Hao Bingxin, Dong Junqing knew that this detached man's strength was not bad. Chain-like flying sword shadows appeared instantly from the surroundings, covering all of the space behind her. The mighty and powerful shadows seemed about to tear space apart, violently tearing up the ground. As expected, Yi Futu appeared. But the man would not actually go contest a 5 Tigers great general in battle strength. He merely used his speed for a chance to try confusing her, and while Dong Junqing was defending, immediately used vermilion bird blackening flame. Instantly, the plains were covered with a red cloud, pervasive flames. In the middle of the omnipresent vermilion bird flames, Dong Junqing's paths were thoroughly obstructed. At this moment, a silvery white shadow attacked. Hao Bingxin burst out with her trump card. The flickering snow-white shadow of a giant sword looked like the sickle of a reaper, full of killing intent. Without any apprehension for the blade attacking her from behind, Dong Junqing put strength into her legs and somersaulted. Her movements were efficient, swift as lightning. Dong Junqing lifted her head. She used her double swords to block the enormous sword. Metallic clanging resounded. But this was not the end. Yi Futu immediately activated a flying sword array. If anything of a star master's was to be labeled as the greatest threat to a star general, flying sword array would undoubtedly be the first choice. Several dozen flying swords formed a perimeter in front of Dong Junqing and attacked. Although she parried with her spears, the flying sword array began to become a threat. Dong Junqing was left with no choice but to step backwards. Just when she withdrew, her foot spun, and Dong Junqing once again vanished. She used speed to face the sword array. But Hao Bingxin was not so easy to handle. The little loli caught onto Dong Junqing's tempo, her giant sword firmly entangling the steadfast star. The silver sword tip fluttered, and Dong Junqing parried. Her double spears attacked when suddenly at this moment, Yi Futu's figure crouched low and fiercely leapt forth. The air whistled harshly. Yi Futu instantly reached frightening speeds, suddenly scattering sand and pebbles. In the dust, Yi Futu's silhouette abruptly burst out, immediately attacking Dong Junqing. Although she was very astonished Yi Futu would personally take action, Dong Junqing was not flustered. One of his palms was wrapped in vermilion bird flame and already mercilessly thrust out, pushing towards the figure in front of him. Then, there was another frightening exchange. If it could be said that the confrontation between them just now was one of pure speed, then in this merciless battle, power had become more important, so much so that it was the crux of life and death. This was completely reliant on full power, a matter of death and of youth, because it was extremely rare for a star master to dare directly face a Five Tigers general in the star duels. But at this moment, Yi Futu already did not ponder too much. He thought only of settling things quickly while Zhao Hanyan was acting arrogant. It seems you have been taught well. Dong Junqing retreated. Yi Futu used the vermilion bird flame to already seize the advantage. The man continued his assault, but while Dong Junqing continued to retreat, she sneered at the same time. Then this general shall toy with your boldness. She crossed her double spears and faced the combined attacks of Hao Bingxin, the flying swords, and Yi Futu. Dong Junqing suddenly exerted her strength. Yi Futu immediately noticed that Dong Junqing's dragon phoenix yin-yang spears seemed to come alive. The dragon and phoenix began to circle around her body, as if they were granted a second life. Yi Futu was too late to think about this strange scene. His attack absolutely could not stop here. Excessively powerful force was completely unstoppable on its own. Just touching it was enough to permeate the target. Each time the double spears nipped, they would shower the plains with light that rose into the sky. Immediately afterwards, the light flow pouring out from the spears tyrannically crushed the opposing attacker's whole body, making Yi Futu's body and soul let out a mournful wail. She had surprisingly warded off the combined efforts of the two of them. Even so, their intense wills to fight still suppressed their pain. They continued to clash with speed that could not be tracked with the naked eye. Then, each slash made Yi Futu feel trepidation. The attack of the woman in front of him was very surprising in its tyrannical nature. Her pair of spears was wielded with increasing leisure, increasing magnificence. The double spears were increasingly lively. Several hundred exchanges of offense and defense instantly passed by. When the man's eyes finally adapted to the dizzying dragon phoenix double spears, he realized the reason they surpassed common sense. His complexion immediately changed. Dark rank technique. One phoenix cry, dragon slaying cave. A Five Tigers great general's dark technique. In the face of this challenge, Yi Futu was unafraid, breaking out into laughter instead. Their attacks had been easily warded off by Dong Junqing. When the double spears attacked, their power was focused into the spear tips. When they blocked, the backflow of the collision onto the spears was like the shadow of a phoenix rapidly flitting about on the spear. Regardless of where its master attacked from, no matter from what direction the enemy attacked, it could timely appear at the most precise spot and perfectly accomplish its mission. The phoenix defended, the dragon attacked. This was both the sharpest sword and the strongest shield. Yi Futu never had this kind of feeling, and his battle potential had unwittingly and surprisingly erupted in his blood. Yi Futu suddenly spun errand, raising a vermilion bird flame. In his hand appeared the 7 feathers fan. He did not hesitate to wave it. A ripple spread out from the fan, carrying a rippling firelight in wind shadow. Surging flames like a phoenix rushed out from the seven feathers fan, forming an unending force to strike the opponent. It was any defender's nightmare. It was obvious they could pierce through rock, to say nothing of the accumulation of this power. Dong Junqing clearly was very surprised. She suddenly twisted her spear, finally ending the Dragon Phoenix double spear dart technique. As far as a star general was concerned, magic weapons were the thorniest problem, better than a flying sword array by a tad, but the eccentricity of magic weapon abilities nevertheless was impossible to guard against completely. Dong Junqing did not expect that Yi Futu would use the seven feathers fan so quickly, let alone spread its fire so pervasively, but in fact, each burst of flame that knocked against the target brought about powerful pressure. Dong Junqing could not ignore it. In the counterattack of a gale and storm, there was suddenly a black figure. Then, this shadow brushed against Yi Futu's cheek and flew by, leaving a trail of blood along his temple. What? Yi Futu's pupils suddenly contracted. Seeing Yi Futu use a magic weapon, Zhao Hanyan finally made her move. The 72 outer void flying immortal swords emerged, breaking Yi Futu's sword array. Then, the flying swords spun around, returning for another attack. Yi Futu was careless. Dong Junqing appeared in front of him already. She easily sent Yi Futu flying. Futu, Hao Bingxin kicked and immediately flew off. She hoarsely called her star master's name. If this continued, they would most definitely die. Hao Bingxin ground her teeth, clenching her sword. Her eyes spouted the fires of fury. Just as the girl was about to advance for an assault, a hand patted her shoulder, stopping her suicidal charge. Yi Futu stood up, already completely covered in blood. His expression wore powerlessness, but a light that did not concede defeat refused to be extinguished. Outstanding. As expected of the man who contracted the magnificent star. You indeed have guts. Dong Junqing said, impressed. Perhaps she glimpsed a certain person's figure in Yi Futu. This amazement was genuine. Futu, are you still unclear about your end? Zhao Hanyan graciously urged, it is not too late to turn back. Nothing good will come of you following the white tiger demonkin. Yi Futu sneered. He was always aware of what joining the white tiger territory demonkin signified. Zhao Hanyan, how about you mind yourself? Do you think the purple thunder monster will provide you with any favors? He is merely exploiting you. Zhao Hanyan did not want to discuss this with Yi Futu any further. She found this topic to be completely meaningless. The two of them shared no common experiences. Neither could convince the other. In the end, they could only fall back to their own choices. I see. Then there is no choice. Zhao Hanyan said, however, Yi Futu, if you are willing to join us, Hanyan will very happily agree with you. It is far too early for you to be arrogant. You cannot comprehend Li Taisui's might. Yi Futu was cold. In the three heavenly books, the purple thunder monster will inevitably become everyone's target. At that time, you will have to consider about yourself. How stubborn. Dong Junqing gripped her double spears and watched the heavily injured Yi Futu. Following Zhao Hanyan's actions, the result of the star duel between Yi Futu and Zhao Hanyan was very clear. Seeing Yi Futu was still enduring, Dong Junqing's speck of friendliness also vanished. When she raised her double spears and slashed, Hao Bingxin blocked in front of her. That massive sword dexterously danced in her hands. Silver-white light flowed over her body. Hao Bingxin grit her teeth, her snow-white pupils full of pride and sternness. Bang, bang. A crisp cracking sound echoed, a completely unimaginable intense reaction. Dong Junqing's spear seemed calm, but it was in fact matchlessly tyrannical. The defense of Hao Bingxin's silver snow dragon abyss broke as easily as an eggshell. The trajectory of the dragon and phoenix were like flashes of lightning in the dark, fleeting. The gale surrounding the two suddenly swelled, blowing hard. What a terrifying attack! Her pupils shrank, and Hao Bingxin's expression turned grave. But it was at this moment as the magnificent star mulled over the strongest spear attack that she was excited. Her body hung in midair, her leg deftly spun, and she drew a beautiful, graceful, breathtaking circle. Like a spinning top, she blew a gale in every direction, unexpectedly surprising Dong Junqing. "Take this last move," Yi Futu shouted. The star crest on his forehead shimmered. Resonance. He resonated with Hao Bingxin. The two of them resonated, immediately multiplying the ferocity of Hao Bingxin's technique. Without any fancy or superfluous movements. The most pure attack of killing intent. Slash. Puchi, 2, a gleaming white light that was like the world's most beautiful crescent drew a magnificent arc in the air, attacking Dong Junqing. Earth rank technique. White night desolation. An endless white light attacked. Dong Junqing immediately used her dragon phoenix double spears to block, but the earth technique under resonance was unimaginably powerful. The cold killing intent made Dong Junqing unable to react in time. She could only rely on her martial general instincts to dodge. In that instant, Dong Junqing's eyes reflected only the scene of a white death. In the girl's mind, the face of a man nevertheless appeared. "How can this general lose to you?" Roar. A tremor, a din. The killing intent passed. Everything resumed its calm. Victory. Hao Bingxin panted. Her hands shook, and the silver snow dragon abyss seemed to whine in her hands. A figure that stood as erect as a statue made Hao Bingxin very dejected and full of despair. Phrase omitted due to censorship, Yi Futu, this princess shall give you one last chance. Zhao Hanyan's tone became stern. Han Yan, see you again. Yi Futu did not hesitate to use his jade pendant. He stared fixedly at Zhao Hanyan's face, as if he was taking one last glance, but also as if to make her remember. After he was gone, Zhao Hanyan could not help but heave a sigh. This general has disgraced princess. Dong Junqing knit her brow, somewhat in pain. The resonated earth rank was indeed as strong as a heavenly star's earth rank. How can you blame yourself, Junqing? This is because Han Yan did not take any action. Zhao Hanyan shook her head. Any way it was put, Dong Junqing faced the teamwork of a four great heavenly king in Yi Futu. Zhao Hanyan also knew of Yi Futu's capabilities. The Dong Junqing who occupied the absolute advantage was already overwhelming enough. She feared that this would make Yi Futu very dejected. "Princess, you seem quite fond of him," Dong Junqing said oddly. "Regardless, he was once this princess' imperial brother," Zhao Hanyan said self-righteously, "and Yi Futu himself is as you have seen. His heart is not bad, but because of what he has experienced, he has changed greatly," Dong Junqing thoughtfully grunted. From the battle just now, she indeed sensed that Yi Futu was a very ambitious man. To surprisingly dare fight a five tigers general in close-range combat was exceptional, but it is a pity he ventures in the wrong direction. Dong Junqing disdainfully said, "To align with the demon kin, he betrays himself. On this point, Junqing will never approve. To be frank, princess, to invite him to join Su Xing was perhaps not too wise." Zhao Hanyan gave a self-deprecating smile. "Yes. Now it seems that facing the clinging heaven vermilion Jian will not be so easy." Zhao Hanyan smiled and said. Their battle with the magnificent star was not dangerous, but it wasted much of their star energy. To confront the clinging heaven vermilion Jian was unwise. "Princess, are we not preparing a pleasant surprise for our man?" Dong Junqing smiled. "Junqing, it appears even if this princess wanted to, she is too late." Zhao Hanyan was helpless. Dong Junqing was confused. "He has come," Zhao Hanyan gently said. Dong Junqing broke into laughter. "One innuendo here. Right arrow curving left 2. SFX. Liao Emperor Yellow Wuxin sat cross-legged atop Kaifeng's heavenly sacrifice pagoda. This tower was 9,000 zhang tall, able to overlook the entirety of the vast capital of Kaifeng. In front of her was a record of a beast swallowing the heavens. Yellow Wuxin was currently stooped over a yellow scroll covered in dust. She looked through it meticulously. Despite the surrounding howls of wind, the girl was nevertheless as calm as water, not minding this irritating atmosphere at all. On the contrary, she raised her head from time to time, looking down at the bleak city with some grief in her eyes. Yellow Wuxin had established the Great Liao in the White Tiger territory years ago. Kaifeng was the White Tiger territory's sole giant city-state. It once was home to tens upon hundreds of thousands of demonkin. It was structured with innumerable streets, uncountable districts, heavy traffic. It could have been described as bustling. However, following Yellow Wuxin's defeat, Kaifeng was sacked. This city declined, and today, its people were gone and its buildings vacant. There was not a soul in sight. It had become a true ghost town. Chiner, Bauer, and we must make Maiden Mountain Star generals pay the price. Reading the Yellow Court, her usually ever-present right and left hands were absent. Alone, Yellow Wuxin felt even more lonely. She lifted her head to gaze at that heaven-supporting mountain that not even the White Tiger territory was unable to obscure, her heart frothing with resentment. What a sweet little girl, truly a pitiful sight. I wonder how you will taste. Just as she was reminiscing, suddenly, an evil air surged in the atmosphere. Black clouds rolled, transmitting mystifying laughter. Before it could speak, there was a loud crack. The black clouds in the sky gurgled like boiling water and parted. Above the sky, a magnificent painting of mountains and rivers unfolded like a mirage. The mountain was tall as the sky, its waters cascading down, boundlessly majestic, awe-inspiring. Yet Yellow Wuxin was unmoved. Her hand gripped the yellow court, and her eyes narrowed, still maintaining her amiable appearance. She did not see a person's figure. There was only the suspended scene of the mountain and river, the odd laugh. Immediately afterwards, the magnificent scene of the mountain and river slowly became an illusion. It lasted for a breath's time. The giant mountain had surprisingly emerged from a painting, flying spectacularly towards Yellow Wuxin to crush her. This mountain was gigantic, unexpectedly covering the entirety of Kaifeng. As the mountain drew closer, it seemed as large as the sun or moon. In the blink of an eye, it crushed towards Yellow Wuxin. This shocking power would make even a top-notch cultivator pale in the face. Yellow Wuxin was unfazed. She maintained her imperial posture. You would surprisingly refine the ancient Mount Tai into a magic weapon. Not bad, not bad. You have imagination. The ancient Mount Tai was a famous mountain in the White Tiger territory. Also known as the White Tiger territory's first divine mountain, it contained an imperial ley line. Although the Mount Tai before her eyes was even more massive than what she saw previously, to be able to refine it to this extent made Yellow Wuxin unable to help but give praise. Petty tricks by an amateur. Yellow Wuxin saw that the heavens had been completely covered by the Mount Tai mercilessly bearing down upon her. She sat at the top of the pagoda, smiling warmly. Pointing her hand upwards, the scroll in her hand unfurled. A yellow cloud flew out, forming an array. High above, it blocked the mountain. No matter how viciously this Mount Tai exerted itself, it was unable to descend further. Break! Yellow Wuxin rose, gesturing with her hand. That yellow cloud array burst, and the array began to transform continually, completely wrapping up the Mount Tai. Boom! An ear-splitting noise seemed to rend the sky. Mount Tai disintegrated inside the array. But her opponent was not finished. She heard an incantation. Watch Dragon Pond Waterfall. In the sky, 1,000 chi long waterfall flew out from the painting, coiling like a water dragon around the heavenly sacrifice pagoda. Yelu Wuxin's brows wrinkled. Evidently, she did not want her adversary ruining this place. This is not a place where you can behave atrociously. The girl's hands clapped. The yellow court book flipped to another page. A scream came from the sky, seemingly very far away yet also seemingly beside her ear. It was extremely mournful, like someone bereaved. Another array opened around the pagoda. This array exhibited no changes. Yelu Wuxing shook her sleeve, and that 1,000 chi water dragon immediately rippled, surprisingly shrinking in size. In the end, it surprisingly fell into Yelu Wuxing's sleeve. The painting of the mountain and river's two powers were easily broken, astonishing yet also frustrating her opponent. With the waterfall and Mount Tai broken, the mirage seemed to immediately have two ugly empty spaces carved out of it. But her opponent sneered. This time, the entire painting scenery came down. However, at this moment, a prayer mat flew over. That prayer mat spun, forming a zone of primal chaos. Fellow Wan Kong, this mountains and rivers as paintings is indeed beautiful, but I must ask that you stow it away, so as to avoid something regrettable over this painting. Li Taisui slowly appeared on top of the pagoda. That person snorted. Suddenly, the magnificent scenery above the sky vanished into thin air. Their view brightened, a cool breeze and scattered clouds as before. 1,000 zhang above Yelu Wuxin, there stood a man. His complexion was bright, his build imposing. He had sharp brows and twinkling eyes, a considerably sovereign august air. He had a 9-clawed golden dragon armor and brocade as well as boots made from dragon scales. His left hand held a scroll. That scroll had scenery as black as ink, luxuriant forests. This was the source of the beautiful scenery from earlier. This man was named Woming Wan Kong. 2. His true body was a purple-scaled magic cloud dragon. He quite benefited from the chi of the ley line, and his name of Wan Kong naturally was not in the Buddhist sense of the emptiness of all things. Rather, everything in the world was beneath him. Of course, he indeed had the means to be this arrogant. Supervoid late-stage cultivation, magic energy that was unfathomable. Across all of the White Tiger territory, he was a hegemon of the demon kin. Woming Wan Kong looked at Li Taisui then glanced back at the indifferent woman atop the heavenly sacrifice pagoda faintly glowing yellow. He laughed. I heard that the White Tiger Liao Kingdom's great king, the Liao Emperor, had resurfaced. I specially came to meet him, but I never expected that the Liao Emperor who made the White Tiger territory's myriad demon kin bow their heads was surprisingly an unripe little girl. Li Taisui sneered, fellow Wan Kong, you honestly are arrogant. This king has convened the White Tiger's 4 great demon kin for support. What is this? Only you came. The girl did not look at him and only read her book. Feeling he had been slighted, Woming Wan Kong was furious. Defeat me first, then I shall advise them on your behalf, little girl. Otherwise, today, you will be food in my belly. Although the mountains and rivers as a painting magic weapon had been broken, this was not his true power at all. Woming Wan Kong's shoulders shuddered. He uttered another incantation. Suddenly, the world dimmed, the wind howled, and purple clouds rolled in every direction. This was one of the formidable abilities of Woming Wan Kong's true body. Purple cloud east rises. Just as Li Taisui was about to intervene, he heard Yelu Wuxin say, we shall win them over. She flipped through the book in her hand. Another page fluttered by. From the book, a large yellow light ball flew out. This yellow light magnified, its brilliance blinding, illuminating everything. Ray after ray of yellow light formed a strange array in the air, blossoming splendidly. Li Taisui watched, awestruck. It instantly broke Woming Wan Kong's purple cloud east rises. How about you let me read that book? With a forceful bellow, Woming Wan Kong suddenly appeared behind her, 2 horns upon his forehead, his whole body covered in purple dragon scales. Then, he swooped down, a purple light soaring, auspicious clouds rising. In the purple chi and clouds, Woming Wankong's back vaguely manifested the shadow of a dragon. He howled at the sky, scratching directly at Yellow Wuxin. Yellow Wuxin could discern that Woming Wankong appeared brash, his execution was very decisive, practically without any mercy. Normal cultivators proceeded sequentially by steps, first probing their opponent's limits before counterattacking, but whether Woming Wankong's strength was remarkable or he was arrogant, from the start he used a trump card with no leeway. He dove down, his magic energy boundless, his might enough to jolt the entirety of Fengdu. Even Li Taisui was astonished. However, Yellow Wuxin had descended from Star World. She had seen great changes. Woming Wankong's cheap trick was not enough to disturb the tranquility in the Liao Emperor's eyes. The girl's hands formed several hand seals. The arrays in the heavenly sacrifice pagoda's surroundings linked into a chain, yet it was also like a gigantic yellow cloak. It resisted Woming Wankong's powerful purple chi. Yellow Wuxin felt her hands sink, inwardly shouting, "How powerful!" Indeed, the top-notch demon kin of the White Tiger territory had real skill. The girl could not help but be serious. She fiercely rose, pinning her opponent. When Woming Wankong saw that his magic cloud dragon had been stopped, he suddenly fumed. He immediately circulated his magic energy and arrays. The purple dragon scales over his whole body glowed. He then opened his mouth, spun several times, and a purple cloud dragon took shape. The purple-scaled magic cloud dragon flailed inside the array of yellow light. With his true body manifested, his power had increased by several times. Yellow Wuxin immediately felt her heart shudder. She scented that the purple-scaled magic cloud dragon wrapped up inside her array fiercely thrash about, seemingly about to directly break the array. He broke free, and the opposing killing intent pervading the world rushed over. Knowing that this man's magic energy reached the heavens, Yellow Wuxin became increasingly vigilant. On one hand, she used force to suppress her foe, and on the other, she flipped open the book. Several divine weapons appeared in midair that slashed at Woming Wankong. Several dozen sword lights slashed upon the purple-scaled magic cloud dragon, but Woming Wankong's purple chi protected his body, and he had dragon scales. Although they hacked ruthlessly at him, they inflicted no damage. Just as he was about to sneer, Yellow Wuxin did not stop here. She raised her hand. Hand concealing the heavens array. An enormous hand descended from the sky and seized the purple-scaled purple cloud dragon. The size of that hand seemed to turn the purple-scaled magic cloud dragon into a worm. Suddenly seeing that hand break the heavens, the degree of its power, this was surprisingly far outside his expectations. Woming Wankong's heart was alarmed. Where did this bitch come from? How can any array be so overwhelming? I have never seen this before. His body quivered, and he recalled that the Liao Emperor was famously rumored to have descended from Star World. Her power was ridiculous. The two of them simply were not even in the same world. After he recognized this, Woming Wankong had no more arrogance in his heart. He immediately realized this innocuous-looking girl was not easy to handle. He immediately thought of retreated, but he was already too late. Woming Wankong had already fallen into the array. Hand concealing the heavens array made him unable to escape. He struggled with all his might, but no matter how more stronger he was, it was still difficult to resist. The giant hand grabbed, squeezing the man into its palm. It seemed that it needed only to flex to be able to pinch him to death as easily as an ant. For the first time, Woming Wankong felt despair. No more, I am willing to aid the great king. Really? Yellow Wuxin played with a lock of hair. This battle appeared intense, but the girl had always maintained her book-reading posture, making Woming Wankong completely submit. I concede. I am willing to go convince those demon kin on behalf of the great king. Yellow Wuxin flipped through the book. That giant hand vanished. The cloud dragon descended, transformed into human form. Woming Wankong heaved, barely escaping with his life. Go on. Yelu Wuxin gently said. 1. Right arrow curving left 2. I'm really perplexed by this. Translated literally, this guy's name is, my name Wankong. Like the my name Jeff meme. The nearby Li Taisui watched dumbstruck. Ever since the Liao Emperor retreated in defeat from the Crystal Dragon Palace's treasure banquet, he was skeptical of the Liao Emperor's strength, and he also felt doubts about her ability to overthrow Maiden Mountain. Losing the Liao Kingdom's #1 martial general and magic general, what power could the prehistoric Liao Emperor have? No one was sure. Now it appeared that this Liao Emperor was indeed still overwhelmingly powerful, showing the skill to nonchalantly suppress one of the White Tiger territory's demon-kin hegemons, the purple-scaled magic cloud dragon. At least now, it appeared that the Liao Emperor was still somewhat capable. Li Taisui added more reverence into his posture. Yelu Wuxin slightly smiled. How was this not a warning to him? Great King, I wonder what plan you have in store, to have convened all of the top-notch demon-kin in this fashion. The White Tiger territory's demon-kin already fought their own battles. If she summoned them to topple Maiden Mountain together, Li Taisui felt this way of thinking was very childish. If not for this purpose, Li Taisui could think of no other reason. Ever since her defeat at the treasure banquet, Yelu Wuxin had lost her 2 great generals. After she returned to the White Tiger territory, she appeared a bit despondent, but Li Taisui was still wondering if the prehistoric Liao Emperor had been defeated by Maiden Mountain star generals. He did not foresee that several days later, she would comprehend the Yellow Court, as if she realized some profound mystery. Then, she came to Fengdu to reactivate the Heavenly Sacrifice Pagoda's array. When this pagoda was erected, records were seemingly not employed for it. It was merely a tower upon which to offer sacrifices. And now, the Liao Emperor's great fanfare about this made Li Taisui feel increasingly uneasy. The old man did not like this feeling of being kept in the dark. Immediately, he took an indirect approach. How could Yelu Wuxin be unaware of his intentions? She said, Li Taisui, you wish to know of Star World's matters. The old man was taken aback. He cupped his fist and said, I would like to hear the details. He was once like Yelu Wuxin, inquiring matters about the star duels. However, before that time, there was no such thing as the star duels. Yelu Wuxin did not know anything. As for matters about Star World, he had actually forgotten about that. Star World has millions of star names. We cannot speak clearly about these star names. However, we nevertheless once mentioned that there is a rumor in Star World, Yelu Wuxin said thoughtfully. Rumor? Star World has a rumor named Amnesty Draft. In Star World, there are millions of star names. These star names are born from primal chaos and originated from legend. The traces of this are imprinted into the blood of a star general at birth. It is rumored that all generals of Star World have received this amnesty draft. So long as one finds the conditions for amnesty draft, they can unify Star World. Yelu Wuxin slowly said. What? The unflappable Li Taisui could not help but be shaken. Unify Star World. Star World was inherently full of mystery and dread till Yangshan continent. To suddenly hear the words, unify Star World, how could Li Taisui not be stirred? Can it be that the condition for this convert recruitment is related to the current Yangshan continent star duels? Li Taisui calmed his breathing. Yelu Wuxin faintly said, this king is not sure, but this king has suddenly deduced something. Back when the Great Song brought star generals to attack my Liao kingdom, this king had believed that they were prying into the Great Liao Star General Restraint Array, the Tai Spherical Heaven Form Array. Now that this king reflects, not long after this king fell into this world, the star duels began. Perhaps they did not attack for the array, but rather to cast this king into this world. Yellow Wuxin's eyes narrowed. She closed the book. On the topic of Star World, this conversation ended. Li Taisui listened, flabbergasted. If these rumors of Star World did not come from the great prehistoric Liao Emperor, he would never have believed them. The star duels were surprisingly involved in unifying Star World. Could it be that wish was real? In short, we cannot allow Maiden Mountain's women to do as they please. If you want to end the star duels, then you must truly destroy her. Yellow Wuxin's tone suddenly turned cold. Truly destroy her. Li Taisui's heart sank. Great King, what does this mean? Still do not understand. Why do the star duels have Chao Gai standing guard? Why is there a rule restricting the 7 stars assembly? Yellow Wuxin smiled, why else but that those star generals are somewhat weak. As long as we kill Chao Gai, guardian of the star duels, the rules of these star duels will naturally break, understand? Li Taisui's mouth hung agape. For a moment, Yellow Wuxin's words shocked him. Kill 1,000 Buddha star Chao Gai. No one in the 9th star duels dared to have this thought. Even if they had thought of it, Chao Gai already demonstrated in the past star duels how incredibly stupid this idea was. However, if he thought of her words carefully, Yellow Wuxin's words were not impossible. As the guardian of the star duels, if they killed her, would that not topple the star duels? This was the true meaning of an overthrow. Of course, you are no match for her. She has descended on behalf of the Xian Nu of the 9 firmaments. How could any of you possibly compare to her? Yellow Wuxin sneered. Acting as the guardian, Chao Gai possessed formidable power. In the vast Liangshan continent, she came and went as she pleased, settling matters in one go. Even the greatest of star generals were left in her dust. Though she was almost able to injure Chao Gai, it was a pity that in the end, she had been foiled at that last moment by the purple thunder monster. Yellow Wuxin nevertheless did not speak further. She seemed a bit tired. This king's array has been prepared expressly for Chao Gai. So as to avoid side issues, this king requires the few of you cultivators to stand watch. Yellow Wuxin's eyes held some disapproval. If it was not for her great generals sealed inside Chao Gai's pagoda, she basically would not have counted on the White Tiger Territory's cultivators at all. At that time, Li Taisui, would you sacrifice your life for the sake of ending it? Yellow Wuxin suddenly bantered to this old man. As long as this old man can help Zijin end the star duels, this old man's bones are not worth a mention. Li Taisui cupped his fist and said, this old man is indebted for great king's favor. Yellow Wuxin smiled, easily able to see that this old man's hypocrisy. Though his words were grand, to speak of helping his own star general and disregarding his own life, these words could fool only those naive children. How could this old man not wish to ascend into Star World? What star master would not wish to ascend into Star World? This king is weary. Go and make the arrangements. Yellow Wuhui waved her hand. Li Taisui deferentially withdrew. Seeing the old man retreat, Yellow Wuxin sneered, to end these star duels is so simple. Just kill every single star general, Maiden Mountain, allowing this king to arrive into this world is your greatest mistake. Li Taisui descended the stairs while pondering the information he obtained from Yellow Wuxin. Unify Star World. It is as this old man thought. This Star World really is interesting. Li Taisui slowly brought out his paper fan as he muttered to himself, Liangshan Continent's Earth is worth nothing in the eyes of Star World, as expected. This old man actually wants to see it. Just as he thought this, Li Taisui abruptly wrinkled his brow. His face retracted its smile, gazed at the horizon and became grave. A woman in bloodied clothes approached, descending in front of him. Zijin, what happened to you? Li Taisui promptly asked young Zijin when he saw her. Is that daredevil third brother so powerful that even you would cut such a sorry figure, Zijin? Li Taisui was just about to reprimand her for nurturing a tiger when Yang Ziaijin spoke. Taisui, that purple thunder monster has come. What, the purple thunder monster? Li Taisui's expression turned grim. Every time he heard of the purple thunder monster, it always seemed that something bad happened, so after hearing of the Liao Emperor's plan to end the star duels, then hearing the purple thunder monster's name, he immediately became unsightly, particularly when he saw Yang Zijin's heavy injuries. His heart's fury already renounced collaboration with the purple thunder monster as beyond the clouds. How did this happen? Yang Zijin summarized the events that transpired. The contents more or less were that Su Xing teamed up with the all-out Shishishio. In the end, Yang Ziaijin suffered disastrous defeat. Zijin, you must ask yourself, did you truly lose? Li Taisui said in a low voice, his tone overbearing. In his old man's heart, blue-faced beast Yang Zijin's power could be said to be first among the Star Duel's martial generals. Li Taisui was unable to accept that just teamwork between the Purple Thunder Monster and Shishishio was enough to injure her. If there was Lin Chong or Wu Song, then perhaps. But those opponents did not appear at all. This made Li Taisui have a feeling of humiliation. Yang Zijin was neither servile nor overbearing, Zijin was careless. AI. This cannot be blamed on you. That purple thunder monster's strength is unfathomable, his magic weapons innumerable. If he even had the aid of the all-out daredevil third brother, this old man is already very grateful you were able to return. As if sensing his previous expression was somewhat too stern, Li Taisui recovered his normal warmth and benevolence. Zijin, you had better return to the star nest to recover in the meantime. N. Then can it be the Purple Thunder Monster and Shishishio have signed a contract? Li Taisui was a bit apprehensive. This man contracting daredevil third brother would turn his plan to specially cultivate Shishishio into a futile effort, and the crimson star that appeared not so long ago made Li Taisui a bit uneasy. Li Taisui then relayed the information of Star World's amnesty draft and the information about ending the star duels that he learned from the Liao Emperor. Blue-faced beast also showed an astonished expression, but she very quickly and silently assented to Li Taisui's decisions. Not long after, Han Bing and Xian Lao returned in succession. After realizing Yang Zijin had been defeated, Han Bing's expression was cold to the extreme, but she did not show this to Li Taisui. She could only say in a cold voice, that monster is truly damnable, to surprisingly look down upon the White Tiger territory. However, Han Bing has killed one of his wives, his strength has been debilitated. Taisui, shall we seize this chance to kill him? Han Bing asked. The Liao Emperor currently has a plan. For the time being, we are not to disturb the grass. That purple thunder monster has dared to appear in the White Tiger territory. This old man fears that he has assistance. Going now achieves nothing. Li Taisui was displeased. He originally wanted to negotiate with the Purple Thunder Monster about ending the star duels. Now it appeared that his hopes were dashed. But never mind, Li Taisui did not truly believe that Purple Thunder Monster would assist them. That man is truly fortunate. Fortunate? Ha, if this old man is correct, your terrified to the bone was not necessarily able to kill the Purple Thunder Monster's wife. If he saved her, perhaps they will come to Kaifeng. Li Taisui showed a warm grin. At that time, we shall properly welcome him. Everything is as you command, Taisui. Su Xing sneezed, feeling as if someone was thinking about him. Ingmei. Sio. He wondered how they were faring at the extreme ice abyss. He did not think anything would happen to them. After what happened to Shiyu, Su Xing could not help but start to worry about the other wives that had mobilized. When he rushed urgently the clinging bird hill, Su Xing suddenly felt the intertwined branch sword resonate. Could it be that Zhao Hanyan was in the vicinity? Milord. Hua Wanyue suddenly spotted a beauty in front of them and shouted at Su Xing. Su Xing looked, and his heart immediately bubbled with warmth. 1. Are you sure about that? Han Yan, why are you here? Su Xing did not think he would run into Zhao Han Yan here at all. It seems the White Tiger territory has a divine bird, so Han Yan came to take a look. Zhao Han Yan seemed to smile. It's great that you're here. I just happen to need your help facing the clinging heaven vermilion Jian. The star riding boat descended, and Su Xing sighed. You just need its feathers, you ought to be able to do that. Dong Junqing stroked her lips, her wickedly glancing at Su Xing's body, a lewd expression that very much cherished a certain memory. Zhao Hanyan's brows twisted. She noticed that Su Xing's expression was flustered. She had never seen him like this before, and she could not help but ask sternly, Su Xing, what happened? Shiyu was struck by Han Bing's power. She needs the clinging heaven vermilion Jian's soul to be cured. Su Xing summarized the events. Zhao Hanyan was shocked, flashing into the star riding boat. As expected, she saw Shiyu laying on the bed. The girl's body was extremely cold, a mist surrounding her. She could not be approached at all. This kind of ice-cold feeling was beyond even the 1,000-year black ice. Then let us go right now. Little sister's injuries cannot be delayed. Zhao Hanyan asked Dong Junqing, Junqing, how are your preparations? No problems. This general has long wanted to test the clinging heaven vermilion Jian. Dong Junqing had already mostly recovered from the star duel with Yi Futu. The steadfast star twirled the dragon phoenix yin-yang spears and nodded. Su Xing then arranged their battle formation, having Hua Wanyue keep a distance and watch for chances. Su Xing, Zhao Hanyan, and Dong Junqing would take a frontal assault. Of course, Gong Sun Huang would also watch for an opportunity to use her earth rank. Because this concerned Shiyu's life and death, they were extremely urgent. There was no tolerance for mishaps, nor was there any time to waste. Stepping onto Clinging Bird Hill, the temperature immediately skyrocketed, instantly making them drip with sweat. These temperatures were far from normal. Even while using star energy, they were unable to dispel it. These flames came from the clinging heaven vermilion Jian and the phoenix tree's natural fire. It pervaded the internal organs, capable of making any cultivator feel suffering. This place is unexpectedly so hot. Dong Junqing was very uncomfortable. She seemed to be on fire from head to toe, but this was not lust. Zhao Hanyan felt smothered, loath to even open her mouth. Before they could even see the clinging heaven vermilion Jian, to feel such broiling heat, this made Zhao Hanyan have a feeling of foreboding. Hanyan, Junqing, take these. Su Xing handed already prepared ice souls to the two girls. The moment Zhao Hanyan received this ice soul, she immediately felt the chills coming from her hand, greatly abating the temperature. Lianxin forged these. Take these 2 ice heart pills as well. Su Xing said. He. You always have so many goodies, but what about you? Dong Junqing said. I have the meditative mind lotus flower for protection. This little trial means nothing to me. Su Xing had undergone every kind of serious trial. This temperature naturally could also be endured. I saw that your energy wasn't too good before, was there a battle? You must have suffered, Junqing. You'd better be careful this time, don't force yourself. Su Xing gently warned. To be frank, Dong Junqing's heart had never felt this kind of sweetness. Indeed, it was somewhat gratifying. Your words are simply insulting this general. However, seeing as you are concerned with this general, never mind. Fine. In short, do not be careless, Junqing. Zhao Hanyan also put away her heedless attitude. After all, they were facing the legendary clinging heaven vermilion Jian. Her heart was somewhat anxious, her palms full of sweat. Su Xing's divine intent moved. A yellow book appeared. An absolutely beautiful woman clad in a yellow gown suddenly appeared out of thin air. This woman's long sleeves wafted yellow qi, dispersing like smoke, forming a barrier. She was none other than the Empress Tu Earth Book. Seeing that Su Xing was scheming so meticulously out of fear that something would happen to them, Zhao Hanyan knowingly smiled. "Little Huang, I'll leave this to you," Su Xing said. The Gongsun Huang sitting on his shoulder nodded. She held the pine-brand ancient sword and pointed it at the distant tree. Several rays of star magic were then released. The enormous phoenix tree that covered the sky rumbled. The treetop shook, and those fire-red leaves trembled, immediately burning with tumultuous flames. These flames viciously blew in every direction, and a rolling heatwave burst out. Empress Tu raised her sleeve, raising a barrier that dispelled the heatwave. Everywhere else was washed apart. That scorching heat smothered a range of 10 li. Immediately afterwards, a clear phoenix cry reached the sky. The phoenix tree seemed to come to life. A giant divine bird burst out from the canopy, suddenly revealing itself to everyone. And what a beautiful divine bird it was! Its figure was graceful, perfectly outlined, with feathers like jade, sparkling and translucent. Its wings were like flames, bright and burning. Seemingly right behind it was majesty that outshone everything in the world. A pair of dazzling, gem-like eyes glinted. Its body that was as streamlined as a feather hovered like a cloud. What was most breathtaking was the tail plumage of the clinging heaven vermilion jian. It had the markings of fire, thin as a cicada's wing. What a beautiful bird! Zhao Hanyan had a sort of reluctance to slay it. Even the most skilled painter in the world could not do this bird's beauty the slightest bit of justice. Although they were awestruck by the clinging heaven vermilion jian, the bird itself had no such thoughts. She saw a group of cultivators, just like every other suicidally ignorant cultivator that attempted to disturb her. These cultivators were very powerful, but the clinging heaven vermilion jian still did not hesitate to unleash its attack. The clinging heaven vermilion jian's pupils glinted, and it spat out a ray of scarlet light. This light was like a sharp blade, easily cutting open the earth. With a bang, Empress Tu's earth qi defenses were unexpectedly breached. Even the Earth Book was unable to defend against this. Su Xing did not want to experience the terror of this light. From past descriptions, the clinging heaven vermilion jian's scarlet light could easily kill anyone in a mere instant. "Watch our flying swords." Su Xing and Zhao Hanyan immediately acted. The 12 heaven-tearing and 100 outer-void flying immortal swords appeared. In terms of numbers, Zhao Hanyan had inherited Dong Juanqing's double sword's innate skill. She could control twice as many flying swords with this, and the innate skill also increased the damage her flying swords inflicted. Just the brilliant slashes of those 100 flying swords were things that an ordinary person could not withstand. Even Su Xing showed a bit of astonishment. In comparison, his ancient flying sword's heaven-tearing seemed very meek. Although flying swords were powerful, the clinging heaven vermilion jian disdained them as beneath her. She raised her wings, and a bright flame erupted. It wrapped around all of the incoming flying swords, making the flying swords that the two of them were so proud of amount to nothing. As expected, you still need this general to enter close quarters. Dong Junqing leapt forwards, using the tree trunk as a platform. She sprung high, the yin-yang double spears sweeping together at the same time, releasing a yin-yang cross-slash in midair. Crescent spearlights rained down. But they were surprisingly unable to penetrate the clinging heaven vermilion jian's flame defenses. The clinging heaven vermilion jian cried. This time was even more overbearing. Several thousand rays of light as bright as scarlet flames flew out from the clinging heaven vermilion jian's wings, just like blooming fireworks, turning into a downpour of flaming swords. They easily tore asunder Dong Juanqing's technique as well as Gongsun Huang's star magic. Dong Junqing paused in midair, somersaulted, and relied on her superb reflexes to evade the clinging heaven vermilion jian's torrential attack. At this moment, Su Xing also closed the distance. But the flames over the clinging heaven vermilion Jian's whole body made people unable to draw near. Broiling flames covered its whole body as well as its internal organs. These flames are very formidable, there is no way to cross them at all. Dong Juanqing's double spears slashed about. She finally realized the terrifying aspect of this divine bird. Just approaching those high temperatures could make a martial general's battle capabilities plummet, and the clinging heaven vermilion Jian's omnipresent powers made them completely unable to find a chance to attack. Hey! Su Xing shouted, suddenly forming a hand seal and striking with purple mansion immortal thunder. Divine thunder filled the skies and clashed with the clinging heaven vermilion Jian's divine fire, showering the area with fierce sparks, shaking the earth. But his hard work paid off. Su Xing had finally opened a path. Dong Juanqing's senses were keen, advancing forwards through the gap. The clinging heaven vermilion Jian again released divine fire. At this moment, a burst of cold from behind her eased the burden upon Dong Juanqing. Out of the corner of her eye, she spotted Su Xing using instant frost flame to disperse the flames. The corner of Dong Juanqing's lips curled, and she shouted mightily. Finally breaking through the obstruction of flames, she did not stop at all. She directly thrust one spear into the clinging heaven vermilion Jian's body. But Dong Juanqing was far from being able to injure this sort of divine bird. Her thrust had barely pierced into its body when billowing flames once again erupted. That powerful force was like the opening of floodgates, sending Dong Juanqing flying backwards. While she was in midair, the clinging heaven vermilion Jian opened its mouth and spat a fireball to vaporize Dong Juanqing. However, Hua Wanyue shot an arrow to interrupt her attack. Then, Dong Juanqing quickly adjusted herself. However, the clinging heaven vermilion Jian's speed was extremely swift. She flapped her wings, soaring to an even higher altitude. With speed, she broke free of Dong Juanqing's entanglement. Clearly, she had recognized the power of this girl. One bout later, Su Xing and the girls had not taken the advantage. She is not easy to fight. Zhao Hanyan was drenched in sweat, her 100 flying swords were temporarily on standby. Continually controlling her flying swords to attack was extremely taxing on her energy. Su Xing carefully stared at the clinging heaven vermilion Jian's beautiful eyes, trying to find her weak point. The clinging heaven vermilion Jian was high above, as if she was embedded among the crimson stars in the sky, glowing brightly. She slightly flapped her wings, as if she was mulling the situation over. Her long and beautiful tail feathers fluttered about in the wind like tassels. Shall we retrieve the tail feathers first? Zhao Hanyan asked. No need to do it like this. If we can't take her soul, then the feathers are useless to me, too. Su Xing did not hesitate to decline. He apparently did not want to do this. Zhao Hanyan was without a choice. This man was fine with anything, but sometimes, treating his women too good was not good at all. He had surprisingly completely disregarded his fire element flying sword material. Then good, this princess will occupy her for now. As long as you can draw near, you can handle her. The Ling Yan princess said. Her divine intent moved, and the 100 flying swords manifested their heavenly immortal forms. This time, their sword chi was agile, forming a beautiful sword array. Zhao Hanyan silently chanted and raised her arms. The yin-yang bracelet flew out, hurtling towards the clinging vermilion Jian. Su Xing immediately used an escape technique. This time, he directly brought out the 5-star dragon sparrow Du-Long saber. He really is impatient. Dong Juanqing took a deep breath and summoned the void dragon false phoenix. Gongsun Huang thoughtfully released her yet to fully recover new heavenly phoenix, and Hua Wanyue did not hesitate either. The heavenly hero Red Luan appeared directly. The 4 great vermilion bird-like firebirds clinging heaven vermilion Jian, heavenly hero Red Luan, void dragon false phoenix, and the new heavenly phoenix immediately started an awe-inspiring melee. Liked it? This scene was unprecedented in Liangshan continent. At once faced with 3-star beasts in addition to every kind of sword array and magic weapon, even stronger cultivators could not possibly escape unscathed. Even the divine bird clinging heaven Vermilion Jian was hard-pressed. This was not their true trump card, however. The real trump card was naturally Su Xing and Dong Juanqing's combined attack. Although Su Xing and Dong Junqing were not contracted to each other, the two of them were still obviously lovers. Their minds were synchronized, understanding one another very tacitly. Their pupils contracted in an instant, and they showed serious expressions at the same time. Using the cover of the star beasts and Zhao Hanyan, the two of them immediately seized their chance to attack. Dong Juanqing's beautiful body suddenly leapt several hundred meters into the air. She was even faster than the clinging heaven Vermilion Jian's crimson lights. The dragon phoenix yin yang spears in the woman's hands seemed to jeer as the woman slashed with power to topple mountains and overflow seas. A ghastly light flashed in the sky. Yin yang cross slash. The clinging heaven Vermilion Jian's defenses could be considered gorgeous and relaxed. The flame-like feathers over its whole body were its strongest defensive magic weapon. Flapping its wings without any excess movement, she cut down the steadfast star's yellow technique, as if she did not place Dong Junqing in her eyes at all. The instant that its resistance reached its peak, a blinding light finally exploded from the space between them. A hole was suddenly tore open in the pervasive dust above. Su Xing immediately followed upwards, slashing with the dragon sparrow long saber again and again. The star energy on the blade's edge blossomed, not holding back in the slightest. Now, Su Xing's slashes were each tyrannical enough to easily kill a supercluster cultivator instantly. Under the teamwork of Su Xing and Dong Junqing, the magnificent clinging heaven Vermilion Jian let out a graceful cry, finally feeling pain. Its seemingly gentle and dreamy body attacked at exceptionally high speed. The area within a range of several hundred meters immediately burned with a bright flame. The power of these, clinging fire, was formidable. An average cultivator could not face these flames, let alone approach without getting burned clean away. Then, the clinging heaven Vermilion Jian's attack nevertheless landed on nothing. Long before she attacked, Zhao Hanyan's 100 flying swords had already formed the strongest shield to help defend her two most beloveds. Of course, the consequences were not so easy to bear. The flying swords linked to her life were immediately scorched and smoldering. The true spirits of the flying swords were completely destroyed. It was obvious how frightening the clinging heaven Vermilion Jian's clinging fire was. The clinging heaven Vermilion Jian flapped its wings. Suddenly, it swept up an intense gust that easily created a super hurricane of clinging fire. Clinging fire and a whirlwind combined. Even with greater numbers, this would be hard to resist. As expected, Hua Wanyue's heavenly hero Red Luan very quickly was unable to continue and was dispatched by the clinging heaven Vermilion Jian. Then, Dong Juanqing's void dragon false phoenix was also defeated. The situation was approaching a crisis. Su Xing used an escape technique. He was like a rapidly flowing stream in the middle of the storm, charging about as he wished amidst the incoming clinging fire. He left behind him a long trail of golden petals. The meditative mind lotus flower bloomed at full power, appearing especially conspicuous on this flaming battlefield. By the time the clinging heaven Vermilion Jian's third attack missed, Su Xing then fiercely pulled his body up, drawing a tight curve. Then, he brought enormous magic energy to collide with the clinging heaven Vermilion Jian's massive body once again. Hey! The sky exploded. A flame that seemed alive pounced and broke Su Xing's form, swallowing him. The flames perched on the clinging heaven Vermilion Jian's body fired all around Su Xing like arrows. Yin Yang's spearlight twisted in Su Xing's surroundings, immediately repelling the attack. A figure came to Su Xing's side. To still be able to keenly observe Su Xing's situation during battle, the Five Tigers general was worthy of her name. "Mister, do not be careless," Dong Junqing said. Su Xing slightly smiled. His figure flashed away. He suddenly carried Dong Junqing in his arms. In an instant of life and death, Su Xing's body moved at speed exceeding his conscious limits. In that instant he carried Dong Junqing away. He felt an extremely sharp blade sweep down. At the same time the fine but matchlessly brilliant red light sliced off half his hair. It swept across the entire battlefield, parting the mountain range. The clinging heaven vermilion Jian once again used its ability. Its feathers directly became unstoppable blades. Then, a sharp cry in the air flooded their ears. Flaming blades flit by at speeds that were practically impossible to react to, appearing very brilliant. It appeared in these concentrated sword lights, there was no chance to escape unscathed. It could be said that the clinging heaven vermilion Jian's feather blades were formidable. They sliced apart a range of several dozen kilometers. Beyond that range, some powerful demon beasts that were not aware of what was happening were decapitated on the spot or sliced in half. Their stumps were even cauterized very thoroughly. Their heads that kept roaring expression fell to the ground, stirring up a bloodied cloud of dust. Jumbled together with corpses frozen in odd and rigid positions, anyone would feel aghast at the sight. This kind of ability made even Dong Junqing break out into a cold sweat. She perhaps could have resisted, but for how long? Su Xing directly used his light smoke dance steps to evade and then the meditative mind lotus flower for protection, wandering about the 1,000 feather blades, waiting for the clinging heaven vermilion Jian's attack to abate. At this time, Zhao Hanyan was unable to continue controlling her flying swords anymore. The clinging heaven vermilion Jian was honestly too powerful. Those prehistoric clinging fires left her with no choice but to withdraw her flying swords. She threw out every kind of magic weapon, but that was a futile effort. Although she ached to go help them, she considered that she would add to Su Xing's burden and could only dismiss the idea. And then the clinging heaven vermilion Jian's clinging fire was completely caught by the earth book. It very nearly tore the earth book to shreds. "Ling Yan princess, you had best be careful," Hua Wanhua said. The hero star continuously fired her bow, each and every one an attempt to give Su Xing a chance. This made Zhao Hanyan very envious. At this very moment, Gongsun Huang used a wind riding through territory star magic, raising Su Xing and Dong Junqing's body techniques to even greater heights, up above the clinging heaven vermilion Jian's head. They finally escaped the clinging heaven vermilion Jian's clinging fire blades. The clinging heaven vermilion Jian raised its heads to the sparkling sky, gazing at a scorching red dot above, where her prey was. Then, she flapped her wings, extremely angered. She finally sensed that her opponents were far unlike any of the intruders she had faced previously. The clinging heaven vermilion Jian sensed danger, and it once again used full power. Suddenly, it unleashed a crimson ray of clinging fire directly through the clouds that was like a gigantic sword capable of cleaving even the heavens. Countless raging flames tore the air apart. The giant crimson sword spiraling upwards very quickly formed a vortex that blotted out the sun. Heaven and earth unbelievably warped and shuddered under the boiling airflow, as if something was currently charging up. Then, when the concentrated flames finally reached the critical point, a pillar of fire that clambered up to the highest point finally roared like an erupting volcano. A stifling hot wind instantly rolled over Clinging Hill, and at the crest of this red wave, the clinging heaven vermilion Jian was braving the winds. Its wildly blazing figure shot into the clouds at that moment, but the clinging heaven vermilion Jian's dazzling body nevertheless made the surroundings appear dim. Her majestic wings were like two white-hot axes, slicing apart the billowing air, severing the ashen skies, cutting open the fearful lines of sight of insignificant demon beasts. This was the clinging heaven vermilion Jian's most famous ability. Scarlet flame splitting. Flames that seemed able to split the heavens rolled over. This flaming blade descended. Just when Su Xing was unable to evade, the new heavenly phoenix forged onward to intercept this attack. This powerful star beast activated its own full power ability to contest the clinging heaven vermilion Jian, but it was surprisingly blown away a moment later by the scarlet flames, unable to continue battle. The failure of its first wave of attacks made the clinging heaven vermilion Jian considerably frustrated. It would have been great if this bird was a star beast. Dong Junqing clucked her tongue. Then, Su Xing's voice pulled her back to their high-speed battle at altitude. Look out, don't be careless. Before the clinging heaven vermilion Jian's second wave of scarlet flame splitting, Su Xing and Dong Junqing promptly attacked. The clinging heaven vermilion Jian once again opened an inescapable net. Su Xing flew across the blue heavens with an unimaginable arc, leaving behind only a dazzling red streak against the multicolored skies. And at the end of his trail, more than 1,000 fire serpents flocked over, like fireworks exploding in the sky. Each one was full of a deadly presence. But although their aggression was strong, the swiftly moving tongues of flame were completely unable to catch up to that fuzzy target. In an instant, they were already left far behind him, their long bodies entangled due to the excessively blind chase, twisting into an ugly giant fireball. Speedy reactions and clever evasion allowed Su Xing to avoid the first wave. But the clinging heaven vermilion Jian's assault was far from just this. At the same time, large swathes of flame once again leapt off from its shining body. The flames were thick to the point that opaque heat waves appeared one after another. The tongues of flame crowded together bore down upon him menacingly. It's no good, we'll be struck sooner or later if this goes on. Su Xing's pupils suddenly contracted. It seems that this general will need to use her earth rank. Dong Junqing said. All along, she did not wish to use her earth rank. The general of double spears was absolute that this perhaps was the sole area that made her feel more dazzling than Lin Yingmei. It was a pity she was using it for the sake of this man, but she had no choice but to make an exception. Man, you owe Junqing a favor. Dong Junqing very lewdly licked her chapped lips, the meaning in her eyes apparently very clear. For this favor, repay it with your body. Su Xing smiled, aware of her intentions, and nodded. Once again, he used the meditative mind lotus flower, beginning to sparkle with a brilliant light, and how beautiful and dazzling it was. The lotus flower's petals blossomed amidst the flames, protecting Dong Junqing. Su Xing was at her side, cutting down every attack, buying Dong Junqing time to use her earth rank. Dong Junqing shouted furiously. Holding her double spears, she drew a giant half-circle in the sky, raising those hot and cold dragon phoenix yin-yang spears that were renowned across Liangshan continent. Her figure broke through with a speed that could not be followed by the naked eye. She was like a shooting star streaking across the darkness, falling from the heavens straight for the clinging heaven vermilion Jian's forehead. The double spears let out two lights more glaring than the sun. The next instant, an intense and dense ripple burst out from between where the two collided. A powerful force swallowed them both at the point of contact, letting out a harsh grating sound like when metals ground against one another. The scorching hot storm immediately rolled over the entire battlefield, and even the unending mountain chain seemed to shudder slightly. Past the burning storm of flames, Dong Junqing's double spears swung down. Boom! The light of these double spears seemed able to cut the ground in half. The yin-yang double spears dragon and phoenix flew out. In midair, one became two, and two became three. Along with Dong Junqing's double spear's endless attacks, more and more dragons and phoenixes flew out from her spear. This kind of feeling was like there were countless dragon phoenix yin-yang spears attacking the clinging heaven vermilion Jian. There were practically no gaps, making Su Xing quite speechless. This was the earth rank of one of the 108-star Maiden 5 Tiger Generals, Dragonfly's Phoenix Dances. This is my chance. Hua Wanyue drew her bow and blurted out. The 10,000 Li God-killing arrow shot directly at the clinging heaven vermilion Jian. The arrow stuck into the clinging Heaven Vermilion Jian's body. The clinging Heaven Vermilion Jian's cry was more resounding than a clap of thunder, far beyond any sound in the world. The clinging Heaven Vermilion Jian that was suddenly injured once again flapped its wings, and a burst of flame suddenly flew out. There was a kind of odd illusion at this instant. Because of the high temperatures, the world seemed to stop. The flow of time seemed to stagnate, the swelling winds were destroyed, and even Su Xing's matchlessly resolute willpower was frozen in that instant. The surroundings gradually faded away, covered by a surging blaze. Then, in this concentrated deathly stillness, the clinging Heaven Vermilion Jian gathered the ambient light in the atmosphere using its crown. It was like a shimmering star in the pitch-black darkness. A sharp light shot out from the clinging Heaven Vermilion Jian's body. This light beam was a blade that split the sky and earth. It first cleaved the entire battlefield in two. Then, it sharply cut down half the mountain face. Finally, it split apart the clouds in the sky without stopping. Its speed was too fast to react to. The clinging Heaven Vermilion Jian's furious roar and death declaration passed over Dong Juanqing's body in an instant. Dong Juanqing was enormously surprised her earth rank was unexpectedly unable to slay this divine bird. She fiercely wielded her double spears, but immediately afterwards, followed by an oppressive ripping sound, the dragon phoenix yin yang spears in her hands were nevertheless torn away from her body by an unblockable, powerful strike. Then, she was blown into the air by a strong wind. A series of sparks shot out from the entire gouged area. Su Xing's expression immediately turned pale, and he promptly threw himself over. The next instant, Su Xing caught the flying Dong Juanqing, who had been knocked unconscious. He evaded the clinging Heaven Vermilion Jian's strong and silent offensive, but the clinging Heaven Vermilion Jian began to unleash its spiritual pressure. It mercilessly pushed Su Xing towards the ground. In the blink of an eye, it had slammed Su Xing and Dong Juanqing ruthlessly against the ground, splashing a wave of flame reaching the sky. "Juanqing, are you all right?" Su Xing's concerned voice entered her ears, seemingly coming from far away. This general was careless. Dong Juanqing shakily rose from the ashes, shaking her muddled head. She did not expect her earth rank to fail at their chance to attain victory. "You did well. She won't last much longer," Su Xing said. The clinging Heaven Vermilion Jian before their eyes let out a low roar. Dong Juanqing's earth rank technique did not fail at all. The powerful dragon flying phoenix dancing apparently made the clinging Heaven Vermilion Jian sustain heavy injury, and Hua Wanyue's last arrow was the cherry on top. The clinging Heaven Vermilion Jian apparently put all of her focus into launching a powerful attack. She was very aware that if she did not quickly kill her enemy, her chances were slipping away every second. The clinging Heaven Vermilion Jian opened its mouth and sprayed a high-density flame that condensed into a red lightning suddenly descending from the sky. The clinging Heaven Vermilion Jian's clinging fire breath was more terrifying than any of this world's fire element abilities. Yet the clinging Heaven Vermilion Jian's time was short, and a stagnation appeared in the clinging fire. Su Xing shielded Dong Juanqing with his own body, the meditative mind lotus flower erupting with radiant light. 1,000 flower petals bloomed around them, stopping the clinging fire attack like a sturdy shield, keeping them safe under the clinging Heaven Vermilion Jian's attack. The flow of flames that dared to encroach were completely extinguished. "It's not over yet." Su Xing showed a warm smile to Dong Juanqing, apparently very grateful she would accompany him, even facing this world's most frightening divine bird. The next instant, a booming breath once again came from overhead. Su Xing did not hesitate to raise the dragon sparrow Du-Long saber. Then, a blood shadow on his body flashed, the chaotic tail escape. "Hey!" Su Xing slashed downwards. The clinging Heaven Vermilion Jian spat out clinging fire. A flaming light burst out from the clinging Heaven Vermilion Jian's body, cutting apart the surrounding air like a sharp knife. It burned directly towards the sky, fearlessly attacking Su Xing. If it could be said that the clinging heaven vermilion Jian's attack was a blinding sun, then Su Xing's counterattack was the moonlight that borrowed the sun. Although trifling, it was nevertheless strong. Su Xing finally caught that frightening blade of clinging fire. The place where the flames and light touched immediately became a true void. Even specks of dust were destroyed by the terrifying might, disintegrating to particles invisible to the naked eye, then burned away due to the high heat. Light more blinding than the sun finally dispersed from the sky. The raging flames were like serpents slithering everywhere over the ground, flocking over after they found a weak point. The entire earth immediately turned into a volcano, spitting out lava everywhere. Any cultivator that saw this scene would become filled with unmatched despair at this time because the entire area was filled with clinging fire, but Su Xing paid it no attention, facing again and again the clinging heaven vermilion Jian's seemingly endless light. The next instant, a thin but incomparably dazzling red light beam fired. This red light drew a glaring arc in the air, piercing through the burning sea of flames and magnificent blade light, accurately aimed at her prey. The second beam of light pierced the hot winds, once again firing towards her target. Then the third. And the fourth. The clinging heaven vermilion Jian used all of its power, doing its utmost to launch its final and most beautiful strike, but Su Xing continually resisted. Even if his body was burned, pockmarked with countless blisters, Su Xing did not waver one bit. In his mind, the only thought was to attack and attack. An endlessly oppressive attack. Master, look out! This time, she, too, was unable to stop Su Xing. The dragon sparrow Dulong saber hacked into the clinging heaven vermilion Jian's body. Junqing, use that! Zhao Hanyan shouted from far away. Dong Junqing understood tacitly and leapt high. The dragon phoenix yin yang double spears danced again, and she smiled savagely. Man, this is not what I meant by repaying that favor with your body. Watch this. Dong Junqing wielded the spears. The hot and cold lights intertwined, twisting and inverting one another, finally slamming into the clinging heaven vermilion Jian. Heaven Earth Dark Yellow Skill. Top Luan Inverted Phoenix Slash. The already injured clinging heaven vermilion Jian attempted another counterattack, but at this time, Dong Sun Huan's half-destroyed landscape shattered her prepared counterattack. Afterwards, another barrage of Hua Wanyue's arrows found their mark. Following that, Su Xing's saber cut into her body, finally cleaving apart her defenses. With a cry, the clinging heaven vermilion Jian finally could not continue. Her wings stiffened, and she fell to the ground, unable to move. After a lengthy battle, this divine bird was finally settled. Seeing those beautiful, gem-like eyes, Su Xing suddenly felt some pity. Big brother, can you take her soul without killing her? And Suwen asked. Suwen, is there a reason? Because legend says even if the clinging heaven vermilion Jian's soul is taken, as long as its body is still preserved, before its spiritual power fades, it will be capable of resurrection. And Suwen said. Su Xing nodded. Although the materials on the clinging heaven vermilion Jian's body were very valuable, Su Xing did not want them at all. He only needed the soul capable of saving Shiyu. Rest well. Forgive me. Su Xing tenderly stroked the clinging heaven vermilion Jian's head. This divine bird apparently responded to something and quietly cried, slowly closing its eyes. After taking its soul, Su Xing immediately placed her into Shiyu's body. As expected, the clinging heaven vermilion Jian's fire immediately dispelled the cold. Shiyu slowly warmed up, finally allowing Su Xing a breath of relief. However, before this was over, Su Xing obtained 12 feathers from the clinging heaven vermilion Jian as material for his flying sword. Su Xing, you are sure you need only these 12 feathers? Zhao Hanyan asked regretfully. The clinging heaven vermilion Jian's liver is reportedly a powerful supplement, very helpful for cultivation. Forget about it. Su Xing shook his head. With his current cultivation, this type of medicine was simply insufficient. Zhao Hanyan smiled. She wandered around the clinging heaven vermilion Jian surroundings, taking a few intact feathers as mementos. While Shiyu was recovering, Su Xing began to take the chance to forge his fire element flying swords. The clinging heaven vermilion Jian's feathers were exceptional materials for fire element flying swords. Su Xing did not even need Tang Lianxin to refine them, so he was able to forge them himself. Each of the swords of the heavenly spirit earthly fiend purple star 5 elements swords were formed differently. The fire element flying sword's main body was the clinging heaven vermilion bird Jian's feather. He used the feather as the main structure to forge a unique and unmatched feather blade. Su Xing used his fire to begin continuously shaping the feather's appearance. Gradually, the feather's frail appearance began to show the edge of a sword. Then, Su Xing imbued it with other materials. He slowly started to grind them. This was a long process. The already powerless Dong Junqing watched from the side as she was supported by Zhao Hanyan. This sword truly is beautiful. Dong Junqing's eyes glinted. Zhao Hanyan agreed. The 12 fire element flying swords began to show signs of developing. Due to Su Xing's magic energy being far more profound than before, this refinement speed was very fast. Very quickly, 12 beautiful red flying swords were already formed. Swords like feathers, as transparent as jade. Su Xing, what do you want to name these swords? Zhao Hanyan curiously asked. In truth, for immemorial flying swords like these, naming the flying sword was the most favorite thing for a cultivator. Su Xing pondered. He carved 2 words. Jian feather. 1. She's using it as a pronoun to address Su Xing, not in a casual way we English speakers do. Right arrow curving left 2. The Jian. Su Xing continued to forge and grind the fire element flying sword Jian feather. Because Dong Junqing used her heaven-earth dark yellow skill, Zhao Hanyan was completely drained of all energy and had no choice but to rest. Although Shiyu rallied after ingesting the soul, she was still apparently unconscious. Hua Wanyue and Gong Sun Huang each sat cross-legged, on guard. Rat Star Bai Yutang turned her large, adorable eyes to watch what her papa, elder sister, and mama were doing. The little loli was not idle and brewed wine nearby, but because the White Tiger territory's terrain was unfavorable, Bai Yutang's brewing was not too successful. Squeak, squeak. Bai Yutang's star beast, the essence spirit rat, lay atop the little loli's shoulder. Suddenly, it smelled something and looked at a corner. The essence spirit rat squeaked a few times, then quickly climbed down her shoulder and entered the forest. Bye-bye. Bai Yutang shyly called out, but the essence spirit rat had penetrated into the forest. Bai Yutang stood up and jogged in pursuit, her mouth softly calling, "Bye-bye, don't run." Gong Sun Huang cocked her head, seeing Bai Yutang leave. She then glanced at His Highness Su Xing. Because all of his attention was placed on forging the flying sword, Su Xing did not notice. Bye-bye, bye-bye, Bai Yutang chased for 100 meters, bursting out of a fire leaf bush. The essence spirit rat turned its head back and squeaked, hopping on top of a fire-red fruit. Don't run off, Pop'll get mad. Bai Yutang crawled over, grumbling. The essence spirit rat squeaked back. When the little loli looked to see that fruit, her innocent eyes were pleasantly surprised. This looks like it can ferment into an earth-rank wine. Bai Yutang inspected this fruit. Up until this stage, Bai Yutang was already able to brew earth-rank wine, but the materials she needed were very demanding. Papa was very busy, and Bai Yutang did not wish to bother him, so this earth-rank wine was put on the back burner. Her star beast essence spirit rat was able to smell the scent of any material for wine, so that was why the rat ran out. Oh! Bai Yutang's little face blushed from happiness as she carefully harvested the fruit. But at this moment, a blood shadow shot out. This blood shadow was extremely indistinct, hidden among the underbrush. After Bai Yutong picked the fruit, it finally showed itself. But just as it was about to attack Bai Yutong, a saber light swung over and slashed this blood shadow apart. This blood-intoxicating aroma is used to as a cure-all for healing injuries. Never thought you would find it. Rat Star Daylight Rat Bai Sheng, huh? To surprisingly see such an adorable little sister, your servant truly does not dare believe it. However, you must be careful in the White Tiger territory. A slightly weak voice suddenly spoke. Bai Yutong was frightened and snapped around. She saw a woman dressed in white looking at her with a gratified expression. The woman held a gourd of wine. There was still a bit of leftover fragrance. Bai Yutong seemed familiar with her. Your servant is Bright Star Daredevil third brother Shi Xiu. Shi Xiu walked over. She was completely without killing intent. Gazing at this adorable little loli, there was not way she could have any killing intent. Can you give this blood-intoxicating aroma to your servant to use? The truth was that after she parted from Su Xing, Shi Xiu still felt unable to compose herself, thus she stealthily tailed Su Xing. She waited to see the final outcome, to understand this man's true face. Shi Xiu had lived in the White Tiger territory for so long, concealment and tailing were like the back of her hand, so no one noticed her. After what happened, although Shi Xiu did not understand much, she more or less vaguely realized a bit of something. After the clinging heaven vermilion Jian, the teamwork of the Star Generals had amazed this Wisdom Star again and again because it appeared that those exceptional women at this man Su Xing's side were each unique. Although she did not see Lin Chong, the Hero Star, Leisure Star, and Steadfast Star's formation made Shi Xiu feel disbelief. Especially for the latter, that Steadfast Star surprisingly used her Heaven-Earth Dark Yellow skill for this man. The riddle was not solved and had instead become even more mysterious. After she saw Bai Yutong sneak away, Shi Xiu only revealed herself because she was quite fond of this innocent little sister. Elder sister. Bai Yutong shyly said. Shi Xiu showed Bai Yutong no killing intent at all, and the little loli did not sense any danger. On the contrary, she felt that this very feral elder sister in front of her was very cordial. Can you give this blood intoxication aroma to your servant? Of course, if you do not consent, your servant absolutely will not force you. Shi Xiu said. Bai Yutong lowered her head to look at the blood intoxication aroma in her hand, seeming very fond of it, but when she saw Shi Xiu's not so optimistic state of injury, the little loli could not bear it. Looking back and forth several times, the little loli finally decided to open her palm. Elder sister, here. Thank you. Shi Xiu stroked Bai Yutong's hair, tenderness appearing in her heart for the first time. Shi Xiu placed the blood intoxication aroma into her mouth and chewed. Having lived in the White Tiger territory for so long among the vegetation, she discovered some grasses were natural medicines for healing wounds. This blood intoxication aroma was a particularly rare kind. It was able to quickly restore blood and congeal wounds, speeding recovery. Although Shi Xiu had ingested many medicines, her injuries were still not completely recovered, otherwise she would not have made such a request. As she chewed the blood-intoxicating aroma, Shi Xiu's forehead twisted. Although the blood-intoxicating aroma was very good at restoring her circulation, there was a flaw. As this herb's name suggested, it was very painful as it circulated the body. Elder sister, drink this. Bai Yutong held out a white wine bottle. Shi Xiu looked at her and slightly smiled. Without any suspicion about the wine inside the bottle, she drained it in one gulp. After the wine washed down her throat, the pain over her whole body suddenly vanished, making Shi Xiu astonished. Is this your yellow rank wine? Bai Yutong nodded. It was worry-free without a care. Thanks, to have a little sister like you truly is your servant's good luck. Shi Xiu happily said. Bai Yutong lowered her head in embarrassment, suddenly making Shi Xiu feel she was even more adorable. Your servant must repay you. You must have wanted this blood-intoxicating aroma to brew an earth-rank wine, right? Shi Xiuxiu very easily deduced, although this blood intoxication aroma is good, it is a bit lacking as material for brewing an earth-rank wine. Your servant knows a place. It has many unkaiyu wine grasses, and your star beast may be able to find something even better. Are you willing to go together with your servant? Shi Xiuxiu smiled and asked. But Papa will worry about Tang Tang. Bai Yutang said. With your servant protecting you, there is no need to be afraid. If that man truly loves you, then he should not be treating you like a canary in a cage. We are star generals, no sister should rely on a man, you know. Tang Tang, this is our pride. As a naturally battle-crazed star general, Shi Xiuxiu had very hot-bloodedly projected lofty and heroic traits onto the innocent Bai Yutang. Although she heard battle and pride, Tang Tang only half understood. However, she still received her hot-blooded feelings. Did you not want to help do something for your papa? Then this is a good chance. Shi Xiuxiu continued to say. Tang Tang wants to help papa. Bai Yutang nodded, her expression very serious and earnest. Although her yearning day and night helped all of her elder sisters, the after-effects nevertheless trapped those elder sisters completely in the star nest with no way out. Bai Yutang had seen this, and she was similarly worried. However, a weak, low-ranking star general like her was not like Gong Sun Huang, who was strong in magic energy, nor was she as swift of mind as the other sisters. Thus, Bai Yutang did not know what she could do. For that man to be able to have you, he truly is fortunate. All right, then let us give him a pleasant surprise together. Shi Xiuxiu said. N. Shi Xiuxiu tugged Bai Yutang's little hand and was just about to leave. An arrow stopped her. Along with it was a quite unhappy voice. Daredevil third brother, I still feel that you are upright and frank as a hero. I even thought highly of you, however, I never imagined that you would shamelessly lure Tang Tang away. This truly is extremely disappointing. Hua Wanyue gracefully brushed back a lock of her long hair. She gazed calmly and keenly at Shi Xiuxiu. Tang Tang, come here now. Hua Wanyue motioned. Mama Wanyue. Bai Yutang happily smiled. Hua Wanyue's expression immediately softened greatly. You left without permission, which will make Milord very worried. If you want to find something, we can help you. Could it be that you do not believe in us? Hero star, so you, too. Your servant never thought that you would surprisingly recognize a contractor. Shi Xiuxiu said casually, bursting into a guffaw. However, Tang Tang wants to help Su Xing. You are obstructive and worried. Could it be that you are underestimating your own little sister? Shi Xiu, do not speak so glibly. Milord is very concerned with Tang Tang, but he has never viewed Tang Tang as a tool to brew wine. No wine is worth Tang Tang's safety. Hua Wanyue said indifferently. Tang Tang, what is your choice? Will you obediently pamper yourself in your papa's embrace, or will you send him a bottle of wine while he is very tired? Shi Xiuxiu lowered her head and asked. Shi Xiu. Hua Wanyue glared. Tang Tang wants to help Papa. Bai Yutang lowered her head. This is what a good sister is. Hua Rong, you should be at ease. With your servant here, she absolutely will be safe. And your formation over there right now is not optimal. If Rat Star Bai Yutang refines her earth-rank wine, that will be very beneficial to you, right? Shi Xiuxiu smiled. Shi Xiu. Even though Milord saved your life, you nevertheless lead Tang Tang astray. I truly am not worth Milord. Hua Wanyue could not be at ease. Although Shi Xiuxiu sounded pleasant, the White Tiger territory was very dangerous. This daredevil third brother's temperament was eccentric. Hua Wanyue was not willing to take a risk. If Su Xing knew that Tang Tang was gone, perhaps he would flip the White Tiger territory upside down. Today, so long as I am here, do not think you will have your way. Hua Wanyue shouted. Her bowstring creaked. An arrow fired. Mama Wanyue. Bai Yutong was distressed, evidently not wanting to see the two fight. To attack right in front of such an adorable little sister, this is too dreadful. Your servant also wants to fight you, hero star. Shi Xiuxiu was not afraid of any provocation. On the contrary, she already wanted to test herself against the sister who was absolute in bow and spear. Tang Tang, rest well for now. Shi Xiuxiu gently said and pushed pressure point. Bai Yutong's eyelids suddenly felt heavy. Mama, don't fight, the little loli muttered and fainted. Hero star, your servant's true name is Shi Xiuxiu, let us compete. Wanyue obliges. 1. Hua Wanyue. Hua Wanyue rapidly drew her bow. That arrow was like a meteor, maneuvering for Shi Xiuxiu's flank. Shi Xiuxiu launched her attack even more quickly. She leapt up in an instant. Her speed had been trained in the White Tiger territory to the point of perfection, her realm to excellence. This maneuver was as fast as a beam of light. Hua Wanyue's archery was very strong. There was no need to doubt this. If she was a million li away, even the strongest martial general would feel absolutely terrified, but at such a close distance, Hua Wanyue's archery could not properly flourish. Let alone that the opponent this time was daredevil third brother Shi Xiu, the wisdom star who trained in the White Tiger territory for so long. Her martial arts realm was very incredible, and even if her body was injured, she was still unleashing such powerful force. She was very clear about the hero star's weakness. She continuously evaded several arrows. The 7 colors goose feather saber spun, and then it slashed downwards. Hua Wanyue used her heaven earth sun moon bow to block it. Against her reactions, Shi Xiuxiu was endlessly impressed. The hero star appeared to be formidable indeed, but since she was the absolute in spear and bow, Shi Xiuxiu's attempt would not finish so simply. She continuously attacked, swinging her saber again and again. The white blade flit by. Hua Wanyue's body directly backflipped. Her arm felt numb, and the girl's face could not help but show shock. She was somewhat astonished at the power upon Shi Xiuxiu's saber. Hey! With a growl, Shi Xiuxiu already swung her leg towards Hua Wanyue's head as she was stunned. The woman then spun, the heaven-earth sun-moon bow in her hand also turning into a shield. Once again, she warded off Shi Xiuxiu's kick. While Shi Xiuxiu's assault flowed quick as mercury, Hua Wanyue's display was already far beyond Shi Xiuxiu's anticipation. Although her attacks were not as deadly or swift as before, Shi Xiuxiu would not throw the fight. Each strike was a way to find footing for victory. Hua Wanyue made unimaginable movements again and again. Each step, each movement of her wrist was like a textbook, admirably accurate. As her name implied, she was graceful and lithe. Using movements that were frustratingly rational, Shi Xiuxiu's clearly superior speed nevertheless appeared slow. Bang! A white arrow fired. In the middle of her dodge, Hua Wanyue had surprisingly fired an arrow in that instant. Shi Xiuxiu leaned. The arrow grazed by her body. A graceful smile flit across Hua Wanyue's lips. Swift as lightning, another arrow was fired with even more speed. This one passed by Shi Xiuxiu's cheek, drawing a line of blood. Shi Xiuxiu's saber followed closely behind. Saber light was unsheathed from below, falling like frigid snow. Hua Wanyue was slashed, but when the hero star's body fell backwards, she once again drew her bow and continuously fired at the same time. However, the direction she aimed at nevertheless made Shi Xiuxiu greatly surprised. They were on either side of her, completely away from her. Is this for real? Shi Xiuxiu immediately sensed that there was a reason for Hua Wanyue's complacent grin. The arrows that flew out turned and surprisingly pincer attacked Shi Xiuxiu, as if they had grown eyes. The brilliance of this archery made Shi Xiuxiu very impressed, and this unexpected left and right archery succeeded in stopping Shi Xiuxiu's assault. With no time to think, Shi Xiuxiu's body paused. The 7 colors goose feather saber slashed repeatedly. She gave up on attacking, smashing the incoming arrows to pieces with all her power. A numbing pain issued from her hands. It appeared this power could not be underestimated. Watch dance through the willows. Hua Wanyue raised her hand, stopping in midair. The hero star fully displayed her wonderful and poetic archery, continuously flashing and breaking through space. She instantly fired, as if she was a butterfly among flowers, somersaulting in the air. The arrows continued to spin as they drew odd trajectories, flying towards Shi Xiuxiu. A brilliant willow blossomed in front of her eyes. Shi Xiuxiu did not dare underestimate the hero star's yellow technique. She did not expect the hero star's archery was so formidable. To be able to wield such a perfect realm at such a close-range battle, she was not one bit inferior. With rapt attention, a clear saber light resonated. Shi Xiuxiu brandished the 7 colors goose feather saber, ray after ray of saber light producing waves, completely warding off Hua Wanyue's willow arrow. Yellow rank saber technique. Water ripple 100 turns. A new yellow rank. To surprisingly force her to devise a new yellow rank technique using a bow at close range, Shi Xiuxiu was shocked. Generally speaking, each of the heaven, earth, dark, and yellow techniques of a star general were their own specialty. It was very rare, normally speaking, not more than for 1 or 2, but there were times when at extremely critical moments, a star general would occasionally have an epiphany and create a new technique. However, the creation of a new technique often required dire circumstances. At the same time, it needed significant luck. Shi Xiuxiu had stayed in the White Tiger territory for so long, yet she did not create any second yellow ranks at all. Daredevil third brother finally could discern that the hero star before her eyes indeed had the qualifications to become an arrogantly powerful martial general. She was not the simple archer Shi Xiuxiu had initially thought her to be. Perhaps she was another type of specialized adept. Hua Wanyue continuously soared. She was apparently aware that Shi Xiuxiu's advantages were speed and powerful close-range strength. She made out of the ordinary movements among the trees. Each tree was like a springboard for her. Following her movements, the arrows were endlessly launched. Shi Xiuxiu gave chase, relying on her sharp saber technique to cut down each and every one of the arrows Hua Wanyue fired. Hua Wanyue suddenly turned around, her beautiful eyes especially fervent and resolute. The talisman script hovering around the heaven-earth-sun-moon bow suddenly spun. Dazzling arrows shot out with the ear-splitting speed of thunder, drawing a brilliant trajectory. In an instant, at least 100 arrows were fired. This was another dance through the willows. Hey, 2 yellow techniques. Shi Xiuxiu felt this was too over-exaggerated. As a top-notch heavenly star martial general, to use 2 yellow techniques in quick succession was honestly surprising. Arrows blotted out the sky, descending like a beautiful storm, more severe than the last time. If you did not dodge, there was only one ending, being inevitably turned into honeycomb. Rumble. The arrows filling the sky ignited blinding fireworks in this small grove. Extreme saber light and magnificent arrow light mixed together, immediately annihilating the place Shi Xiuxiu stood at. Hua Wanyue curled the corner of her lips. This time, she wielded her dance through the willows at its peak. Shi Xiuxiu perhaps could not be so easygoing. Just as she thought that, a giggle entered Hua Wanyue's ears. Amazing, as expected of the strongest arrow among the sisters. Hua Wanyue turned her head back in shock. Shi Xiuxiu grinned from behind her. How? Shi Xiuxiu took a deep breath. Hua Wanyue had underestimated the daredevil third brother's speed. Swaying her body, Shi Xiuxiu suddenly launched her attack, the 7 colors goose feather saber in her hand swinging. Hua Wanyue continuously used her bow to block, but this time, Shi Xiuxiu's saber technique had strange changes in direction, breaking Hua Wanyue's thoughts, cutting directly towards Hua Wanyue. Shi Xiuxiu descended, light as a breeze. Against the strongest arrow, your servant's strongest saber is unable to remain aloof, she said. Hua Wanyue clutched her belly, half rising, suddenly launching a high-speed attack. Arrow light suddenly appeared. The arrow this time turned into a net of countless light rays, shooting towards Shi Xiuxiu. From every angle, Shi Xiuxiu was already trapped. However, Shi Xiuxiu still easily broke free of this sudden sneak attack, but Hua Wanyue's intent was not for this. She already arrived right in front of Shi Xiuxiu, taking advantage of this gap. Like a graceful butterfly, the tip of her foot kicked off Shi Xiuxiu's knee. Hua Wanyue then stepped onto Shi Xiuxiu's shoulder. Her slender thighs then spun like drills, and an enormous penetrative force immediately pushed Shi Xiuxiu practically to a knee. Even though she barely resisted, this was hard for Shi Xiuxiu to avoid. I will keep you company. Hua Wanyue's expression was satisfied as she faced Shi Xiuxiu, shooting an arrow down towards her. Bang! The world rang. Dong Junqing watched Su Xing forge his fire element sword with his face of concentration, feeling that this man's serious face truly was sexy. Her originally sore and powerless body was even more limp right now. Is something the matter, Junqing? Zhao Hanyan watched her restlessness and asked with concern. Princess Highness, this general really wants to rip his clothes off. Dong Junqing's face blushed in embarrassment. She gazed at Su Xing with a face full of beast-like desire. Princess, should we not properly reminisce with him? This is not the meeting that this general had envisioned. Zhao Hanyan could hear the shamelessness in Dong Junqing's words. She lowered her head and feigned embarrassed anger. Junqing, do not misbehave. This is not the time for that. She gazed at Su Xing, also enraptured by Su Xing's appearance as he continued his flying sword forging. Although he was sometimes on the frivolous side, he always made people feel at ease when he was serious. When Shiyu is like that, do you believe Su Xing truly will be a beast? Zhao Hanyan sighed. Originally, the Ling Yan princess had been a bit jealous, but when she saw Su Xing work his heart out for Shiyu, that bit of jealousy faded away, turning calm instead. To be honest, at least he was serious with the sisters, and she would not have any regrets at the end of the star duels. This man truly is a flirt. Can it be that he will seduce all the women in these star duels? Dong Junqing twitched her lip, and, this idea is not bad. There would be no need to fight the star duels. Zhao Hanyan guffawed. Just at this moment, the entire world suddenly rumbled. Zhao Hanyan and Dong Junqing were taken aback. Gong Sun Huang opened her eyes and blinked. What is happening? Zhao Hanyan flew into the air, apparently spotting the faint signs of battle. The White Tiger territory honestly does not let anyone have proper rest. The Ling Yan princess said unhappily. Then have some proper rest, Hanyan. A gentle voice laughed. Zhao Hanyan was delighted to hear this voice. She saw that Su Xing was at her side. Has little Lord husband Su Xing finished refining the flying swords? Zhao Hanyan covered her mouth. Su Xing rolled his eyes at her. His hand beckoned, and 12 beautiful flying swords appeared. These 12 flying swords were forged from the clinging heaven vermilion Jian's feathers. The feathers inherently combined the beauty of the clinging heaven vermilion Jian and the quintessence of its flames together. The resulting flying swords could be said to be shaped gorgeously. The bright flames were burned vigorously, and its curves were like a beauty's, capable of ruining a country. Especially the name of Jian Feather, Zhao Hanyan was quite amazed. Look after Shiyu here, I'll go look. Su Xing moved. The 12 elegant Jian feathers unfurled. They surrounded Su Xing like phoenix feathers, and he suddenly flew in that direction. Ai, it seems this princess has no choice but to recognize this little sister. Zhao Hanyan smiled. Liked it, that you're tuning in to the Han Lee's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.